Listen.
Yes.
Run.
Live and direct. Yep. Shocking these mother lovers. What's going on, party people? What's going on? Shout out to all my crew in the building already. We are back again. It's Wednesday night, so you know what time it is. It's some time for some shit you might not never know nothing about with your host, Mice Diggy, alongside my co-host, Dan DNA. What's going on, bruv?
Yeah, good.
You good? You had a good week?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Not bad. I've finally got some petrol.
You managed to get some petrol?
Yeah.
Wow. How did you manage that, man? That's some like, bruv, you got petrol. Yo, this is some like Mad Max shit going on right now. You know, and you're like, yo, I got petrol, but I got to save some. I need to go to Tesco's on.
I've got canisters of diesel stored up somewhere.
Oh, for real?
So yeah,
You're not playing around, man.
No. I panic bought as soon as I noticed everyone was panic buying. I'm like, yeah, so me too.
Yeah. Careful.
Hashtag.
Yeah, the hashtag me too. Yeah, the panic buying got crazy, boy. It got crazy, man. Shout out to the crew in the building. Let's big up all the crew in the building. Shout out to Black Einstein with his evening, all right? You know what I mean? At the bar. Dan was saying he's already at the bar as you walk in, boy. That's hilarious. He's like, evening, all.
Sometimes he's a little bit late with the evening all, but this time
this one was
you
like,
walk through the
he's
door
there.
and he's there. Like,
You can see him crouching over the bar, just looking at the door anytime he sees some movement. Waiting to see he's coming in. So here comes D, here comes Reagantology. What's going on, my bruv? I'm looking forward to tomorrow, man. We're going to have a little road trip to Bristol. Shout out, he says, a pint of Guinness, please. Oi, oi. Yes, peace to Reagantology in the building. Peter Lewis Kisser, we just came up with your nickname, PLK. Well, Dan, I got to give it to Dan. Dan come up with PLK. Wow. I was like, right, that's it. Yeah, that's sick. So I saw some of his artwork. I've been peeping his artwork on Insta, man. And yeah, this guy's got skills, man. So you lot should definitely follow him. His name is, right, let me get it right. I don't want to mess it up for him, man. Yeah,
you're not gonna dox him or anything.
Nah, you got to get it right when you're hailing out somebody's. You know what I mean? You got to be like, yo, okay, let me get it right, because if I don't, you know what I mean? I'm a fuck up, basically. And look, players fuck up, man. Gangsters fuck up. Like, we all fuck up every now and again. We just don't want to do it publicly. When you fuck up, you want to do it, you know what I mean, on your own, on the toilet, where no one else is there. You know you're the only one there when you're taking a shit. You know what I mean? That's the only time you really want to fuck up. But you got to be careful what that fuck up is, considering you're taking a shit at the time. But yeah, follow at kisser.est73. Yeah, follow him on Instagram if any of you lot are on there. At kisser, KISSER.EST73. And check out his artwork, man. This guy's sick. He's got skills upon skills, and it's brilliant to have people like that, you know what I mean, in the chat room.
Oh, PLK. Gleam said next
baby.
level up from MLK. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Very sharp.
Shout out to Don Smithard. What's going on, bruv?
Gleam's had some sort of Ritalin or something this evening. Very sharp, and he's been sharp off the mark.
Yo, Gleam was on it, man. Shout out to my brother Gleam, yeah. Dan was like, yo, is anyone on Telegram in here? Gleam come just out from nowhere, and he's like, I'm on a bigger flex called Ounce. You get me? That had me cracking up, man.
I'm glad he's using the old measurements.
Yeah, boy. Shout out to Gleam in the building, all the crew. Shout out to Mr. Green. What's going on, brother? Yes, man. Good to see people up in here. We got another one, man. Some shit you might not never know nothing about. We got a special guest, Natty. He's going to come through, and we have a chit-chat with him. Natty, I've known him for a long time, man, in the scene. Lyrics Organics. He's been holding it down for a long time, as well as working with children all around the world, man. So, you know what we like to do here, man. We get into some stuff. You know what I mean? But first of all, as always.
Oh, it's Gleam's birthday.
Is it your birthday, Gleam? Happy birthday
Yesterday.
to Gleam, man. Yesterday. Happy belated, King.
How did he get on with that human traffic
The audition.
audition? Yeah.
Yeah, how'd you get on with the audition, bruv? Did our energy, you know what I mean? Our good energy our positive vibes that we were sending to you to make sure that could happen, that we could have someone that we know that's in there and go, rah, I know that guy, you know. I know that guy. You know, I know that guy, you know. You know how many people said that to me after the Sainsbury's thing? Like, that's what they're saying to their kids. I know him, you know. I know that guy. Like, it's like, bruv, I ain't spoken to you for like 15 years. You know what I mean? Are you sure we know? Like, nah. But yeah, that shit was funny, man. Yeah, did I get it right? I'm hoping I got Kisses. He just put question marks there. Now I feel like I really did mess up. Nah, man, it says it there, man. That's the UD. Yo. So yeah,
Housekeeping.
Man.
Too early.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah. Also looking forward to getting into some Mice Investigates, man. We've skipped this a couple weeks now, and it's time to get into this because it's an interesting one. And want you lot to think about it as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, mate.
Housekeeping.
Shout out to Nicole Kisser.
Oh, I keep getting so excited about doing.
Shout out to Nicole Kisser in the building.
Oh, Nicole Kiss is in.
Yeah.
NK.
NLK. Oh, no, NK. All right. Yeah. So Gleam saying the audition ain't heard back yet, but some weirdness happened where it was the human traffic director doing the auditions, but they said it's another film to fund human traffic too. Okay. One of them ones. This is just a 20-minute film that we're going to, for the investors. You know, when it's like you hear, for the investors, you're like, boy.
Yeah.
They're about to take it on some checkered flooring, do all kind of... Yeah. They're about to sacrifice something, you know what I mean, in front of it. Oh, for fuck's sake, man. Really? It's got to go to the investors. Man. And you say it in the throat as well, the investors. Yeah, boy. Premature housekeeping. Let's go.
Housekeeping.
Hey.
Housekeeping.
Yeah, that would forever kill me, man.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Housekeeping. So tomorrow night. Yep, it's tomorrow night, mother lovers. If you can get on down there. I don't know where all you lot are at, but, if you can get down there, get down to Lost Horizon. Oh, yeah, I've got to get this thing up as well. So I meant to tell you lot. Something special about the venue called Lost Horizon. Wait, where is it? Anyway, I'm going to be down there tomorrow night. Mice Diggy live alongside Wishmaster and his band and Billy Wiz, as well as Alley Cat. And guess what? It's free, mother lovers. Lost Horizon, 1 to 3 Elton Street, St. Jude's, Bristol, bitches and bitchettes. If you want to get your free tickets, I said free tickets, yeah? Go down to log on to losthorizonlive.com, yeah? You get your tickets from there. I don't know what, you know what I mean? Obviously, that's how they want to do it. Get your tickets from there. Bam, bam. Get to the door. Bam, you're in. Wham, bam. Pam, pam, pam. It's going to be vibes, man, because like I'm saying, we have not got to do this for a while. I was just chatting to Dee about how it's almost like the rest was a good thing because it's like you come back. Everyone's coming back sharp.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When we're spitting now, it's like, yo, I'm ready. Like everything's being said the way I want to say it on every beat. You know what I mean? So I think it's important for people to come out, especially at these times when we're getting to, let's say we're getting to re-pop our cherry. Huh?
Yeah, you're opening the hole up again.
Yeah, man, in some form of way.
Boring the hole out again.
So Lost Horizon is it's basically a brand new event space, yeah, launched by the team behind Glastonbury's Shangri-La. Yeah, and what they do is also live stream the event. You know what I mean?
That's pretty
so
pretty
people,
modern.
You lot can get onto Twitch I think it might be streaming on each of our Twitches as well, possibly. So, yeah, tomorrow night you get a little live performance. If you're lucky, you cheeky mother lovers. Yeah, shout to Billy Wiz, man. He's a wicked dude, man. You're not lying, Don Smithard. And shout to DJ Pork Scratchings in the building. It's free, bruv. It's free. Come through, man. It's free because that's what we got to do. And make sure you mother lovers really see how we get down. We got to let you come through. You know what I mean? Like, think about it, man. It's a long time for everybody. It's a long time for everybody to even...
Get your first hit of Wiz and your first hit of Maestrogen for free.
You see it there? Maestrogen. You know what I mean? Boy, you might not come back from that the way you want to. But hopefully you do. That's going to be tomorrow night, mother lovers. Come through. Next up is October 7th, Rise of the Mic at the Chip Shop, the legendary Chip Shop, mate. Oh, get down there, you know what I mean? Hey, yo, son, I'll be playing down at this spot called the Chip Shop, yo, in London. It's crazy. Like, they love it. They love the fact that they can say, yo, Chip Shop. Yo, it's a Chip Shop with hip-hop in it? Yo, Chip Shop, hip-hop. Yo, that's crazy, son. You know what I'm saying? Yo, I'll be getting my fish and chips and shit. You know what I'm saying? They be doing it like gourmet style. It's like gourmet. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no regular, like, you know what I'm saying? Like that shit you be seeing in James Bond and shit. Nah, son. This shit like gourmet fish and chips. Word. I ain't never had no chips like they be putting all the beer and shit in there. I said, nigga, you got some OE? Right off the mic, yeah. At the Chip Shop, October 7th, I'm going to be performing live with my And What crew. There's going to be an open cypher. So any MCs out there, you know what I mean? If you're in the London vicinity or whatever you want to call it, come down. Get your mic on. You know, if I still got some energy, I might get involved, brother. You never know. You know what I mean? When it's time for ciphers, like I'm saying, we ain't got to do this in a long while.
Yeah.
So when you get a chance to do it, bam, bam, you better do it. Because these lot, you know what I mean? There's going to be some mother lovers out there. They're still trapped in this maze. So, you know, just in case they lock this shit out again, lock this shit down, then we better just do as much as we can. So, yeah, Rise of the Mic at the Chip Shop, October 7th. Catch me live there. And you can get tickets from And What Live, And What London, I'm pretty sure it is, .com. But we'll get that info over to you as well. Of course. What else is there?
We've got the release to announce.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Mr. Doris and D Funk. Brand new bit of vinyl out there now called Cruise Control featuring your boy Mice Diggy. This one is a laid back, it's basically a story about me getting my first car and how I dealt with that situation, how I was rolling. So, yeah, look out for that. I think you can stream that as well. And you can get a vinyl if you want from the boys them. Shout out to Mr. Doris and D Funk. Yeah, man. I got to correct something I said last week.
Oh no! Did you make up a lie about something?
Nah. I just mixed up the, last week, man, was a beautiful session, man. We had a wicked chat with Mem DVG, and we got into like all kinds of shit, astrotheology and gematria, and a bunch of different bits and bobs. And yeah, so it was really enjoyable, man. And shout out to the crew that were, open enough to listen to a conversation like that as well. Because I think it is, like I'm saying, man, that's why I begun it with talking about the fact that spirituality and all that sort of stuff is looked at in a certain way, and what is the reason. And I hope like people kind of get the idea behind the whole, as above, so below thing as well. And you lot look into it more yourselves, man, because it's a really crazy journey as well. But yeah, the riddle of the Sphinx. So Mem was right about the Jan thing, Janus, and Jan being January time. So the riddle of the Sphinx, where we're talking about like the face of a man, the body of a bull or ox, and the paws and whatnot of a lion, and then the wings of an eagle. And they're to do with the X that he was talking about. And it's basically to do with, there are stars up there that correspond with this, where these signs are situated, and they're the fixed signs as well. So they're the fixed signs in, you know, when he's talking about like earth, wind, fire, you know. And so it goes from, it starts basically in February, like January, February. So it'd be that's the middle of winter. And so that starts with John, you know, yeah. And then, so John is to do with the man, John the Baptist, you know, so it's like the face of the man. That's the man that's holding the and pouring the water and pouring the water and whatnot, the water holder. And then next you got Luke, and Luke is to do with, you know, like we're talking about Venus, which is Lucifer. So that's the star that represents that side. And then next you go on to Mark, which is like Mark and the lion. So that's Leo. So you go from Taurus, Aquarius, Taurus, then Leo, and then you finish off at Scorpio. And Scorpio is to do with the eagle, and it's to do with the higher self. Like if you know, go back and listen to the last show, and Mem breaks that down about the higher self in terms of, and so that's why you get the eagle's wings. But yeah, that's the riddle of the Sphinx, and yeah, man, it was just amazing chatting to him about all of that, because for me, it's like, oh, right, oh, okay. All right, so what else? Oh, yeah, and shout to Bad Bones as well. He's dropped his Lead by Example LP, which is out at the moment, and I feature on a track on there, what's it called? The Black Hole Cypher, with a bunch of different MCs on there. So, yeah, look out for that as well. But, yeah, that's the housekeeping done. Let's get into this, bitch, mother lovers. What time is it there? Okay. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's about when we said.
Yeah, man. Let's get brother. Yeah, the artwork's crazy, innit? Shout out to Pork Scratchings, for real, man. They killed it on that. And there's a mad little video out there as well that they did for the cruise control, so you can go catch that. They did a little edit where they kind of, you know, everything I was saying, they had some form of visual for it, which was interesting as well. Yeah, old school sort of, you know. But yeah, it's a laid back driving a brand new old ass car around. It's brand new to, you know, your first car. Do you remember your first car?
Morris Marina Coupe, yeah.
Morris Marina Coupe. It kind of sounds...
Burgundy.
Burgundy, yeah?
The Burgundy, yeah, Morris Marina
Kind of sounds
Coupe.
snazzy. Like, when you say coupe, it's like, okay.
Had the same door handles as a Range Rover.
So was it, like, being coupe, was it small?
No, it just had 2 doors instead of 4.
I was going to say, like, right, there must have been some big-ass handles, some little-ass doors, boy. Imagine, like, Range Rover, you know what I mean? Or even Hummer, like, door handles on, like, a smart car. On the smart car. Yo, smart car, bruv. Them shits. That ain't safe, man.
No.
The smart cars, you just feel like, yo, if something... It just feels like you could just topple over, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just bad. Like,
Yeah. Peter Lewis Kisser, first car, Fiat 126. That's a lovely little car, though.
Wow.
Yeah, tiny,
Fiat 126.
tiny little things. Yeah, tiny little car.
Mine was a Mini Metro.
Was it?
Yeah, Mini Metro, man.
Yeah, they were
Brown
all
one.
right, yeah. What, brown or like coppery brown? Was it a silvery one or just actually
Nah,
brown?
it was brown.
Just brown, yeah,
It's
yeah.
actually brown. It was doo-doo colour, like, straight up. Yeah, it was a doo-doo coloured Mini Metro. And at that
1
time...
litre, 1.2.
Yeah, it was like 1 point... Yeah, I think it was 1.2. And it was just like, wow, that shit... Because for me, like, I'd done a whole bunch of lessons, and then my teacher, he left. Like, he lived in my block of flats. And then he left to go on holiday. But it was like something going on with his family. So he's away. He ended up away for about 6 months. But in that time, I was like, fuck it, man. Let me, you know, I got provisional anyway. So like, there's just someone with me, you know, all that shit. And I just got one. So it was like, I was shook for a while. I think because I was blazing at the same time. So I was like, yeah, okay, I better not blaze whilst I'm doing this. Because, you know, when your shit's shaking, like, I was like, yo, I better not do this, yeah. And then I started to get better, driving around and whatnot. But when he came back, he was like, yo, we got to fix up a bunch of shit now because you got used to, like, what's all this leaning and you're in the fucking Mini Metro, man. Doo-doo colour that and you're trying to lean. How much? I think it was like 300 or something like that. I think it was 300. Yeah, man. Yo. Them
Yeah, that's
days.
what mine was, 300.
Yeah, because you don't want to go too crazy. You're like brand new, fresh out. Yo, fresh
Yeah.
out, bro.
And then someone crashed into me after about 2 months, and I got like a $2,000 payout.
That's not bad.
That's
From
all right.
300.
Yeah,
What?
from like whiplash or something like that.
Yeah, I
but
was
when you're
gonna say.
like 17, you just spunk that
You
stuff.
didn't handle
Two
that.
grand's gone like in like 3 months. Bought a video camera, bought a guitar amplifier,
Yeah,
just gone.
that's good, boy.
Yeah. Should have put it down on a house.
That
Yeah,
first
well,
crash,
If I can
man.
tell my 10-year-old anyway. Yeah.
We'll get into that, boy. Yo, that first crash, boy.
Yeah.
What? You got the Fiat 126 for 190. Yeah,
Wow.
not bad. Not bad, man. We're hating. We're hating, bruv. Yo, what's going on, Spud Gun?
Austin Allegro. Yeah. What?
Wow.
That was a
Austin
awesome car.
Allegro.
Yeah.
I think I remember that, man.
People used to do them up. Really, they used to be quite a good car, actually. Yeah.
Was it Italian?
Austin Allegro. No, it's like they were like the sort of car that you would see an old man driving with a flat cap and a glove on, and his wife was in the back. They were like old people's cars. They had a sort of rounded back on them. From
yeah.
like
Rounded back
70s,
is straight out. That's old
70s into
people
the
car.
80s, and yeah, they sort of disappeared a bit towards the end of the 80s, but they was getting rare by then. Yeah. Oh no, that's not him. Yeah.
So,
It was
all right.
was
So,
early 80s. Oh, 190 quid in the early 80s was a lot still
yeah,
for a
man.
car. Yeah. Nicole Kisser never got a license, but used to drive the tractor at work when she was 15,
Wow.
16. Farm
Yeah.
girl.
Is that safe? I guess it must be. She's
Yeah.
still here, so
Yeah.
she did all right. She's driving the tractor around.
Be a
the
bit
best way
weird going to the
learn.
pub in a tractor, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, nah. That's kind of like showing off a bit. People will be like, right, you want me to look at you. You want me to ask you about that. You know what I mean? You can't be rolling up to, just go Witherspoons to park it up. Excuse me, mate, are you staying there? Oh, it's just I got to get me trucking. Look, this one here, this big red one. Yeah. Like, nah, bro. Come on, man. Like, there'll be people like, oh, look, wow, so how do you... so do you need a license for it? The goalkeeper says, no, you don't. You know the Batman meme. License. Yo, yeah.
I lived in Southern Ireland. That makes sense actually, because I've seen 11-year-old Southern Irish boys driving like
Tractors
machinery on building sites. Yeah,
I thought
when
he was gonna say on the
they do
roads.
like they do like road works and all that, and you get like the sons are trained early in how to like operate all the machines. You see them in diggers and all that sort of
Wow.
thing. Yeah.
I remember that reminds me of, man, I used to have to wash my mum's car, yeah. Like, and that was, I just got brave one time and I tried to
Or just back it up so you
I
can clean
tried
the
to
wheels.
drive the car, man. Yo, I
How
couldn't
old was
get
you,
out
though?
of. I was probably about like 11. Yeah, you know, I grew up quick, man. And I remember just thinking like, wow, what are you doing? I couldn't even get out of first gear. I didn't know. I just knew that you do that, and then I was trying to get. Man, and I was shook. I went round the corner and then it stalled, and I was like, yo, I'm gonna get back. I'm meant to be washing the car. It's time the bucket and the
You
sponge
managed
is
to
just
actually
there.
get off the
I
drive
managed
though.
to get
Yeah,
back.
yeah,
Ooh, that was scary, man. Yeah, flashbacks. Them scary moments, man. Yo,
Nicole Kisser just said she stacked a Land Rover.
oof. Land Rover as well, boy.
Don't let her
You
near
probably
your
is.
Fiat. Don't let her near the Fiat 126, Peter.
Yo, she will fuck that shit up, boy. Yeah.
Right, shall we?
Let's hit up our bro.
Yeah,
Ladies and gents,
just give him a call.
we're going to get on the Skizite machine and call up one of our brothers. Lyrics Organics, you know what I mean? Always bring back good memories hearing that name. Shout out to our brother Natty. What's going on, bro?
How are you, bro? You all good, man?
In the
How's
building.
things?
Yep, all good, man. All good. We're here live and direct, man. Yes,
Live
ladies
and
and
direct.
gents, give him some love. Let's see some emojis, some fire, some love. You know what I mean? For my brother Natty. What's going on, bro? Good to see
I'm
you,
all good,
man.
man. I'm all good.
You-
Hiding out in London town.
Yeah. We won't give your location, you know what I mean? You got to keep that quiet. You know what kind of trouble goes around there.
Wicked, bro.
Good to
Too
see you,
funny.
bruv, man. Yeah, so I wanted to catch up with you, man, because, boy, it's been a minute. I've known you for a long time.
It's been a long time, man. It's
yeah.
been a long time.
For the people, obviously, you don't know, just break down, you know what I mean? I see you left, right, and centre, but yeah, break down to people your jugglings, as I like to say.
What I do?
Yeah.
Who I am?
Mhm.
Oh man, that's a long thing to break down, isn't it?
Exactly.
Well, many moons ago, man, we had DEFCON Records, which was incredible, man, with Dweller and a whole leap of people, and that's kind of, I guess, where it all started in '98. And then we just started making music, love of hip hop, just started putting records out, was doing it because we loved it and we were passionate about it. And
Yeah.
things grew and things grew. And then it just sort of went off into all different directions. And I discovered live music and bands, which was something that I was always passionate about. So, you know, most people will probably assume you with a band rather than with Def Con, because it was kind of that, everything's gone super, super crazy now online, but that was kind of just before this whole online thing was sort of blowing up and going mad and that, man. And then since then, I've just been working on multiple different young people's projects, like whether it's here or in other countries, just trying to, that's the thing, man. That's the thing that really motivates me. Like the hip hop thing I love is with a passion. It's in me. It's something that you do, like, 9 to 5, like that's it. You drop a little rhyme, just have a little freestyle, whatever. Yeah. But the thing that keeps this working and keeps this ticking is what project, where to do the project, and how's it going to help people and how's it going to help the planet, Whereas sometimes I was feeling a little bit stalemate in certain arenas,
Yeah. What I like about, it's that thing of like, because you realize after a while, like you're saying, you do the music thing, and then you start to realize like you have other sort of passions, other things that you're into, as well as like you have this sort of skill that you could probably bring to that arena in some form of way. And like you said, you like working with children, like teaching, as well as like helping kids do things. So I think it's one of them things. It's like, yeah, I can do this as well as this. I don't have to just be, a rapper or just be a musician. It's like I can actually bring some of the elements that I work with into this realm, whether it be for charities or, do you know what I mean? There's so many different things that we can get involved in. And you don't realize until you start doing it more and more. You're like, oh, right. Yeah, this is not that hard at all,
Exactly, man. I think the thing with it is like the hip hop comes first. Well, in my experience, the hip hop comes first, and then that's the tool to be able to allow you to stand up in front of a classroom of like 16-year-olds who are looking at you menacingly, waiting for you to like mess something up so that they can all rinse you out. You know what I mean? It's a bit like, what was that thing, that roasting thing that they used to do, where Snoop roasted Trump on it? Like, I can't remember what the program was called now, but it's a bit like that when you stand in front of a classroom.
Yeah, celebrity roast.
Celebrity roast. Yeah, it's easier for me to, no joke, man. It's easier for me to get on stage in front of thousands of people than it is to stand in front of a classroom of teenagers sometimes.
Yeah,
because I find it less menacing in front of thousands of people than I do in front of some like some smaller groups,
Yeah, because it is a funny thing, isn't it? Because you're like, right, this is it's like we're not even the same. We just totally think about things differently. So anything they're saying, you're like, right, what does that mean? Like, why are they, they start chatting amongst each other, like kids crack me up, man.
There's things out there like language, the way language changes. I remember working with one young guy about 3 years ago who's now known as Digger D, but I won't say what his real name is, but he wasn't Digger D then. But I remember him in the in the session, and he brought up the word uckers. And there were some ladies in there, and at the time, like, this is a new word for me as well, but I knew it weren't like a good word, you know what I'm saying? And then the lady in the group like asked what it means, so he was happy to explain it to her, like straight faced and stuff, and like she didn't know where to look. It was just like, man, these kids are so like they're so like fresh and switched on, mate. It's jokes, it's funny, man.
So you've been doing it for a while, right? Working with children, with kids. In terms of like, what type of projects are you working on? Are they all different, sort of, or is it mainly to do with music? Or
Do you know what? It varies. We just finished an amazing project, which was the UK and Mexico, which was 6 young people from here and 6 young people from a school called Faro, which is basically an art school in Mexico, but it looks after those that might not ever have those types of opportunities for various different reasons.
they might not
So we
never
teamed
know
up and
nothing
did
about
it, and
them.
we created a record cover under the title of Life as We Know It, and then also like an info sheet with all of their art on it and just a bit of an information about who they are and why they did it. And then the whole purpose of it is the next step is we're going to take it to Barbados and also to Mexico and other countries, and then make music, which is then going to be made by the young people, and then it'll be released on that album. And that album is going to be pressed on, ocean plastic. So you collect all the ocean plastic and turn it into a vinyl. So we're going to do that, and then basically help to promote the young people and what it is that they're doing. Because for some of them, like, they've never worked in English school, they've never had that type of opportunity. So that's what we were trying to sort of capture. But at the same time, for me personally, I really feel that young people, like, my dad's from Mauritius, my mum was from a poor family over here. So like, we've never come from wealth. They work really hard to get where they are. So I try and make sure that these young people like have those opportunities. That I know what my dad's told me about his upbringing. So I know that, those kids there that won't ever get potentially the opportunity to come to England, let alone work with anybody online over here. Just a little bit of magic that they can go away and feel happy about. Which is pretty much what every project involves. Most of them are music projects, but some of them are art, photography, anything that engages, really. And if a young person comes and says, I want to do this, and I've never heard of it before, I'll go and research it. And if we can deliver it and we can make it happen for them, then okay, cool. But sometimes you've got to be a bit careful, because sometimes they're asking me for something which is just winding me up. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, for real. Like when you used to hear the story about artists with the rider, and they'll just go crazy with the rider, like, and you'd be like, nah, this has got to be a joke now, man. How you asking for pink M&Ms?
I host loads of stages, so I get to see those rider things all the time, and they crack me up, like the little photos with, like, an artist with a beaver, or like, it's just the craziest things. I can't even think now what I've seen, but there's been loads of different times where I just crack up laughing. I think the funniest one was at Nostock Festival. They made a paper mache sheep for Goldie Looking Chain, and then they went out and like gave them their sheep, man, which is just jokes. Like, it's just some silly stuff, man. But yeah, always makes me smile.
So these kids, man. So what I wanted to ask you was like about, because obviously the years you've been doing this now, have you seen a change in the sort of the attitude in the kids from, when you started till now? Because this is what I hear a lot from, obviously, we're all older and that, so to us it's like, yo, man, these youths, man, what's wrong with them? But, there's this thing of like, people are like, yo, they don't give a damn now though. Like, now they're just different, bruv. Have you seen that?
I tell you what, you know what? I believe in every single young person I work with, and I really believe it's all down to environment. And I'm not talking just in the environment of your peers. I'm talking about in the environment of like when you get home, what opportunities you have, what love you've got around you, who's telling you, no, don't do that. You can't behave like that. So, man, I have to say this week I've had some experiences with young people, and I'm a bit like, wow, okay, we've got a bit of an issue here. But I think what we have to take into consideration massively right now is everyone's just been locked down for 18 months. Everyone's been literally told, you can do this. No, now you can't. Oh, no, now you can again. Oh, no, now you can't. And it's been done so much that it's confused so many people that, even adults are behaving a bit funny at the moment. So young people are just like, give me my life back. For us, we can be a bit patient. We can find other things to do. We can write something. We can read a book. We can just chill out. We're at that age now. But for those guys, wow, they just don't have that. They don't have that concept in their mind. They've just lost a year and a half. They haven't been able to see their friends. They haven't been able to do that. But I do know of quite a few young people I work with who have really enjoyed lockdown because they're gamers and all they do is stay on their game all day long, connected to their thing, talking to their friends. So for them, it's just like, whatever. I think the problem we've got is they made a massive assault on all the youth centres about 10, 12 years ago. And they closed down so many youth centres, but not just youth
I'm
centres,
so glad you said that,
grassroots.
man.
Yeah, grassroots
Yeah.
community programs. They shut them down. Now it takes a whole village to bring up children. Like that African proverb: if you don't look after the child and invite them into the village, they're going to come back and burn your village down. And for me personally, like damn right as well. If you're going to keep excluding people, you keep excluding people. You keep pushing people away. Like an example of that is our lorry situation that we're in this country at the moment. It's got nothing to do with music and nothing to do with me teaching. But, now you're begging for HGV drivers to come back and you're going to give them a temporary visa after telling everybody you don't want them here anymore and like you're not welcome. Yeah. It's like this filters through. Yeah. So if it filters through to the adults that don't feel welcome, how do you think second and third generation children of immigrants that are in this country of college age that are going to school and college and they're seeing the type of stuff that their parents grew up in the 70s and 80s and they've heard about it, they've never felt it or witnessed it. Now they've just gone through Brexit, but then to add a little bit of extra in there, we've also had the pandemic all together as one. And now look what's happening.
Just a little
it's just like, what
of...
am I meant to tell these kids? What should I tell these young people? Adults are meant to set an example. And at the moment, I think we're failing.
What was the reason for when they closed down all of these, youth centres like that 13, 14 years? Because I remember, and I was just like, yo, what is... And what was the reason? Was it funding, I guess?
It was a money-making exercise to slash funding. But as we all know, now they're going to have to spend billions in order to get people re-engaged. The other thing that they did, which I actually think was wrong, is they wanted to bring, it's not wrong, but they wanted to bring schools and youth clubs together. So a young person would go to school at 9 in the morning and they'd still be there at 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night because of the after-school activities.
Serious?
Yeah, but only certain children would engage in that. You've got to think about that. There's certain young people who will not engage in that. They're going to come straight home after school. They're not going to engage in that because they don't want to be in school. I did not want to be in school. When it got to 3 o'clock, I wanted to be out of school. Get me away from this building. So, to now say, you're going to go there from 9 till 8 tomorrow, darling. No.
That's great. No. That is crazy, man. And what are they going to be doing with them? Obviously not people like yourself, but when it's like they're in the school and they're going to be there until that sort of time, how much are they flooding them with whatever ideologies they want them to get to know? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? That's it. Because you're being taught by a certain structure, by a certain curriculum, and that certain curriculum, as we now know, has to fit because they are going to go and change certain things. I've just actually been asked to get involved in a very interesting some series of workshops to work with young people to ask them what they would like to see in the curriculum that represents British culture from a vast amount of young people of all ethnicities, backgrounds and surnames. Do you know what I mean? To sort of find out, what do you guys want to see? How would you like to see your culture represented, your history represented? Because we can't keep teaching Trafalgar Square and World War II. And, why do we teach World War II, but we don't talk about IBM's involvement in the Holocaust? Do you know what I mean? One of the biggest companies in the world. Why do we talk about war and teach in schools, but we don't want to talk about BAE and we don't want to talk about their effects and the things that they're all doing in Yemen right now, which is British taxpayers' money? Why don't we want to talk about these things? Why do people find that uncomfortable? Why does somebody who's voted for a party I completely disagree with get really irate with me when I bring up all of the failures of the so-called party, and yet these people still want to go, well, it was the best thing for my family, so I voted for them. Dude, you've got a blooming company that drives lorries. You've got no fuel right now. How was it the best thing for your family? It blows my mind how people continually vote for their oppressor. So they can be even further oppressed in society rather than, spreading a little bit extra love and supporting your neighbour and building your community. And that's what we really need to do. I mean, if we look at the UK hip hop scene as an example, like we always talk about community in it. We always talk about community. But man, I don't really feel the community, like, you know, and it's one of the reasons why, you know, maybe I'm not as visible as I used to be. And I think in many ways, there's a lot of stuff out there that people don't know that I invested in. People don't know that as DEF CON we used to pay for, or even in recent times, artists that we actually have put out or supported over the years. So whether it be with the old DEF CON stuff, whether it's the label, or whether it's the DEF CON workshops, or whether it's all the incredible work I do with Dan, who's the founder of Lyrics at Lyrics. But basically, like, you know, it's constantly for me. Life really for me is this, like, what did I do last year? What's my goals for the next year? And can I improve on what I did last year? And that's it. I'm not in no competition with nobody else. I don't care about being the best of the best. You know, I just care about being the best person I can be to myself and those that are around me. And I think, you know, we talk about community a lot in this country, and it's not just the UK hip hop thing. So I don't want to pigeonhole things, but it's not just about that. It's about in this country here, we like the winner. We all get behind the underdog. But when the underdog wins 4 or 5 times in a row, we've had enough. We're not interested in the underdog anymore. In fact, we can turn the other way and then start, you know, digging out the underdog and becoming quite nasty towards the underdog and stuff. So, you know, it's a strange. We're a strange. The British people. We're a strange people, man. It's something I've always really struggled with, and I think identity as well. Like, where do you fit in? Like, for some people, I'm this. For other people, I'm that. And why does it even matter? You know, I hear a lot. You know, like, where are you from? Where's your family from? Are you mixed race? And I'm always like, mixed race. Like, what race am I in? Like, what does that even mean? Like, you know, if I'm human race and you're human race, how am I mixed? Like, where's the mixing coming from? Do you realize this is like saying the term half caste or anywhere along those lines? It's like it's just a new term that's been twisted, but it's still divisionary because it's making me different from you or you different from me, which is just crazy. Like, you know, mixed cultured maybe, mixed heritage maybe, but mixed race. Now you can keep that one, mate, and you can run with it. But it's so often used, you know, pick up a newspaper if you ever dare and read an article and, you know, it's always there. It's that classic old, you know, when Linford Christie, Great Britain's Linford Christie wins gold. And when he gets in trouble for doing something he might not have done, Jamaican born Linford Christie caught in, like, do you know what I mean? And you're just brother, we grew up on it. It's old hat. It's boring now. You know, we need to change the narrative. And taking that back to young people, how can young people change the narrative and believe that there's a better future if they look at adults that went before them and they've only got to a certain level and they've stopped growing? Like, there's no further growth. Yeah. You know, because, you know, as I say to them all the time, like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I'm like, cool, do you own your website? No, I just do it through Spotify or something. Oh, okay, cool, man. Do you own, like, your name? No, have you got your website? No, I haven't even thought about it. Do you have a logo? No. Or for some, like, you know, are you PRS registered? And these are ones that have been doing it for a while. No, I don't know. No, I can't be bothered with that, man. What's the point in being PRS registered? And you just think to yourself, wow, you know, you can try and teach people stuff and help people with things, but it's that old saying, isn't it? You can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
So. Can't make it sign up to PRS.
You can't make it. Well, we can find a horse that can sign up to PRS, mate. We'd be making money. Now, that would be a show I'd go and watch.
What? You'd kill it, bro. Right, this horse is going everywhere. By the time you're done with it, after 2 years, you'll look like a donkey. This shit will look like a dog. I made some pee. You know, like you're rolling to the Bentley. You got it tied to the... you got it tied to the side. The car just cruising. I can't go too fast, innit? I got the fucking... Look, it's a horse. Is that a horse? Yeah, man. Bro, I thought it was a donkey, bro.
I think I'd rather have a donkey than a Bentley, to be honest. Imagine how much the fuel will cost for a Bentley right now.
What? Especially now, boy.
I bet the queues for straw are much shorter than the queues for diesel and petrol.
Exactly, mate. Like that's a proper straw man theory for
Yeah,
you.
for real, isn't it? That's your straw man right there. Look, see him
That's
there?
a straw man,
Scarecrow
yeah.
just in the field. Like, I told you. You fucked up, innit? All the time you laughing at me. Yeah.
The donkey just chewing on grass. He won't be the only one, but
Jeez,
it's
man.
it's crazy, man. I think about like me, with you, Mice. We go back so long, man. Like I was saying to you the other day, it's like we're official friends now. We've known each other for so long.
Yeah, man.
But interestingly, I was thinking about the amount of times I see you nowadays.
Yeah.
And whenever I see you, it's backstage, and you're always doing something with a big act.
Yeah.
But it's never typically your UK hip hop set that you're ever doing. It's always other styles of music.
Yeah.
And I think, many years ago, I was in a band, and people won't know this, but many years ago, I was in a band called Strung Out. And I was asked to come in to replace the rapper who was leaving because he had just started a new band. Anyway, that band that he had just started with a few friends and also, it's bigger than that, it's a bit more family, was a band called Morchiba. And the one thing he said to me before he went off and launched Morchiba, he said to me, Natty, if you want to make hip hop in this country, don't call it hip hop, call it something else. And this is what he said to me all those years ago. And I reminded him about this about 3 years ago. Now, if you look at it, grime, drill, garage, trip hop, breakbeat, like all of these are based on the breakbeat, which is based on the sound of the hip hop. And he was right. He was completely correct because anywhere where I think, and don't get me wrong, this isn't a diss on UK hip hop because I think we've come on leaps and bounds, and I think there's incredible people like Blade out there that are flying the flag. Back in the day, people don't know this, but Chili and Bandit, if it wasn't for Chili and Bandit and for the campaign we did with Big Smoke, there wouldn't be a One Extra. But people forget that history. They don't know about that. They don't know about the 100,000 signatures that we collectively got as the hip hop community in this country and petitioned Tony Blair so that they went and launched a black music channel, which it was originally called One Extra, the Black Music Station. Wherever you went, that's what was all over there on the banners and stuff. And all these people that are now performing it, they've completely forgotten the history of how it came about and why it came about. And I'm not saying that everyone should get a pat on the back that made it happen. But people like Chili and Bandit, as an example, when you're talking about influential people in this country that have made something happen, you don't hear these people's names because they get forgotten about. And I think it's really sad that there's so many stepping stones. Like when I think about it, I always think about, hip hop in this country to me was Hijack. It was MC Duke. It was MC Mello. It was London Posse. It was Cash Crew for me because that was the period of time that I was coming through in it. Yeah. But then I think about like the MCDs, and I just think there's the Schemes, the Titan Sounds. There's just so many there's so many elements and building blocks to this whole thing that have happened over and over the years. I mean, some people will know, some people won't, but I became really close with Bionic over the years. Through just becoming tight with him, the conversations we've had, we don't even really talk about music. We talk about aliens and spacecrafts and, what's going on in the earth and the minerals and the nutrients that you should be having in your body in order to supplement what's going on in the air and stuff like this. But, having those deep conversations from somebody who I really, really respect, talking to people about Stevie Hyper, who back in the day when I was a jungle DJ, he jumped on a couple of my sets. But things like just things like it's always linking dots within dots within dots within dots, and having those conversations. They say you should never become friends with those that you're a fan of, but that's rubbish in most respects. And just learning from those pioneers from the previous times, because many of these artists, they're not out there going, I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm this, I'm that, shine a spotlight on me. Actually, I would say that most of the artists I know within this hip hop community in this country are quite reserved, shy, depressed people, that the only time you see them properly smiling and being really happy is when they get out there and they're on stage. And then the rest of the time, they wither and off they go, and they're in a depressed state. And that's environment and society. Like, depression is created by environment and society. You shouldn't be working 50 hours a week, a mum and a dad working 50 hours a week each, 100 hours a week, not knowing where their kids are because they can't even get back to see them because they have to work so much because, you know, the cost of living's gone up, but the wages haven't. This is the crazy world that we live in now, and that's nuts. How can we expect our teachers to bring up our children? Because actually it used to be the community workers, the parents and the teachers, but they've removed the community workers. They've made the parents have to work really, really hard. And now after the pandemic, they're just about to wipe out all the teachers. So, you know, what do we do next, Mice? What happens?
Boy, you see everything you're saying there, 100%, man. I agree with you. And the thing is, you know, it just feels like it's supposed to be this way. Do you know what I mean? Because thinking how long it's gone on, and then just how bits and bobs are added to it as well, just to make it seem even more like, for real, how are people meant to survive? Like now, you know, like we're talking about with this petrol thing, it's almost like you're in a Mad Max situation. You're really thinking about, okay, hold on a minute, I need this much, I've got this much petrol, but I've got to go to Wandsworth, then I'll come back, then I've got, you know what I mean? You're all counting your mileage, like...
Well, wasn't Mad Max set in 2021? I think it might have been set in 2021 or 2020, something like that. Like, I think I might be wrong, but we'll have to check that. We'll have to fact check it for another week.
It ain't as dusty as that yet, but it might as well be, boy. Do you know what I mean?
You know, it's nice. I mean, you've seen how the world's changed, man. And like, don't get me wrong, mate. I think we've got. I think the scene, if we want to break things down into scenes, the hip hop scene in this country is really super, super healthy. But I wish it could have the vibe and energy that the jungle scene has. Because the jungle scene over here, we're the kings of it. Like, we rinse that, you know, we make that happen. You know, raves, field parties, etc., etc. But it would be really nice to see some bigger events again, you know, like some sponsorship, some money funneling in so that the young people can see some real opportunities, but also so we can create community events. Because other than Park Jam and the stuff that Johnsy tries to do, there's a few like the Arts Bus, for instance. Those guys are great at going and engaging in the community. And there's a few other smaller projects that are happening and stuff. But what's really going on? Like, how are we engaging these young minds? How are we like getting them onto things? I mean, with Lyrics, we've just launched. In fact, tomorrow's the last sign-up day for it. But
Lyrics Organics,
launching a new training scheme, so that young people who are neat can come and actually learn. Like, you know, if you want to learn how to be a cameraman, you can be a cameraman. If you want to learn how to put on the event and then promote it, you can do all of those types of things.
Wow.
And it's just about, you know, trying to give those tools so young people have those opportunities to do things for real. But also never ever, you know, like... There's a lot I find there's a lot of people that say, oh, you can't do that, man. You can't do that. You know, you're never going to do that. You're not going to get there. And I just think all of that, you need to stop that. Like, don't ever, if somebody says to you, you can't do that, you're not going to get there. Like, just make that your ambition to get there and go even further than they ever imagined you could go before. Because there's a lot of walls. Like, everybody in this world puts up walls, like in every single industry. Like, you'll find somebody you think is your best friend that wants to book you for all of these shows, but really all they wanted was your contact book. And once they've got that, boom, off they go. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're on the next steps now. But these people, they last a little while, and then you won't see them again. They sort of come along and then they disappear. And there's a few of those in this UK, especially in this UK.
In the UK hip-hop scene, bruv, there's so many names. And as you're saying that, faces that pop up where I'm like, yeah, my man disappeared, this one disappeared. Like, you know, it felt like, okay, you know, it's getting into the noughties and that, like, you know, 99, 2000. And it felt like, oh, let alone, you know, hip hop is really blown up in the States. It was like UK stuff is starting to make waves as well. But then there was just, in my opinion, there was a stream of like the wrong artists getting signed to majors. You know, whether they be like authentic, like good artists, or whether they be like they were shit and, you know, rapping with whatever kind of mid-Atlantic accent or whatever. But the thing is that there was a string of the wrong people that were like quote unquote UK hip hop that got signed and they didn't do right. They didn't sell well, or they didn't even release or whatever. And then after that, you had a couple trickle through, like Fallacy did well, you know, on the Raucous UK.
Yeah.
And, you know, Blade did well and things like that. But then it was almost like there were people that wanted to jump in because they felt like, yeah, this is going to blow up. UK hip hop, yeah. But then it didn't really go where they thought it was going to go. And then they, you know, they bounced, obviously. But I know exactly what you're saying. There are people that just come in, linger for a while, you know, leave their scent. So you see them every week here, there, and everywhere. And then bam, once the scene started to, you know, drift, it's like they disappeared.
But you see, the problem with it is, right, is it's the investment. Yeah, so I'm an investor, Mike. Yeah. So I'm an investor. So, like, when I come to your event, like, why am I going to invest in you? Like, what are the attributes that I'm going to make me invest in you? Yeah. Now, actually, I mean, I'm talking hypothetically. I've seen your show. So if I had 30,000 that I wanted to stick on an artist because I want to go and help develop an artist, then boom, there you go. I've seen the show. I love the show. So I'm going to get behind that. But then when it comes to the actual next stage of sitting down, having discussions about what you want, it kind of gets lost. I mean, I'm not going to mention names, but there's so many artists in this country that have been that close to massive, huge deals. And then those deals are flopped because the attribute of being professional isn't actually embedded in that artist. And I'm not saying, like, you know, the key thing, Simon Harris told me this 20 years ago, but the key thing is, it's not always, this is exact words, Natty, it's not always the greatest of talents that will make it in this industry. It's the one who can turn up on time, the one that can be professional, and the one that knows how to hold a business conversation. If you know how to do those three things, then you're going to make it in any industry. And it's like I say to people all the time, the same process you're going to use to open up a fish and chip shop is exactly the same process that you need to apply for your record label, for releasing your music. You need every component in place. You need to find out what the tools are that you need and what's happening, what's current, in order for you to push yourself out there. Now, I can talk this talk with people because, you know, I'm like a semi-pro, if you like. You know, I dip into music now as my freedom. I mean, for all of us, you ask anyone why they started writing, it's a place of salvation. It's a place that just got stress off your head. Like, the minute I started getting in the hip-hop connection regularly with like Eminem and Dre and Dilated Peoples and things like this, the minute you see your name there and you're getting like even 3 out of 5 and sometimes 4 out of 5 for your releases, you know, as the 14-year-old kid who used to buy Hip Hop Connection, like, boom, man, this is it. This is, you're there. This is, you've got there. And then you learn all the processes of what happens, the distribution deals that you need to get, like basically the money, the hold up of the money, the money coming back from the sales. Does it come in quick enough to then be able to press up the next load of records? Do you have the cash flow that you need? All of these things we learn as DEF CON. Oh yeah, we need to get merch. Okay, brilliant. Let's get 100 t-shirts, 100 hoodies, and like, you know, and then all of a sudden the t-shirts and the hoodies take ages to sell because you think they're going to sell in one weekend, and actually it takes 6 months, you know. And then you've got even worse things where people promise you they're going to pay you for this gig, then they don't. When you learn about contracts, then somebody mentions to you PRS, and you're like, PRS, what's PRS? Then you get into all of that, and then it's your choice whether you want to be professional and follow up on that stuff, or whether you want to brush it to the side and go, I don't care about PRS, mate. I don't need PRS. I've got money coming off my UK hip hop Spotify. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like all of the little elements. And with DEF CON, people always ask, like, there was 2 things that happened with DEF CON why it stopped. One of them was when all the record shops closed. Not only did we lose all of our stock, but we lost all of our money. Because not only did the record shops didn't have the money, they gone bust, so they couldn't pay us any money. But they also had all of our stock, so we couldn't get the stock back and then resell the stock anywhere else because all the record shops had closed down. So then we had to have a long, good, hard look at ourselves because basically, you know, we weren't super rich off of DEF CON. We were recycling all the money. And at the time we had Manage, we had Blood One, we had Dark Circle, we had loads of other stuff that was on the roster. It wasn't just me and Dweller. So that whole thing was a mad one. And then shortly after that, the other Natty came along who does reggae. And he still doesn't know the full story behind this, but he was on a major label. The major label took over all of my sites. They literally erased me in a week, mate. Like, erased me. Go and find any old stuff of mine. Go and look at any old stuff of mine anywhere
Natty and
online
Dweller.
that you might be able to find. More Natty stuff, yeah, after the Natty and Dweller stuff. But you'll never find my biography with my work. You'll find his biography.
Wow.
And the reason I know all of this happened is because my management met his management. But more importantly, in one night, loads of my videos went up by 1,000 or a few thousand views. And I found out that it was at the time when the record labels were blanket buying views. So everyone's views went up overnight. And the reason why I found out what was happening is because I reposted a video. And in one night, it got like 25,000 views or something. And I woke up the next day thinking that's not right, because basically it's an old video. I've just reposted it. There's no way it would have got those views in one night. And sure enough, I noticed that his views have gone up on absolutely frigging everything. And then shortly after that, I started getting snidey comments left on my Natty sites about being rubbish, and you're probably not here for Natty, you're probably here for the other Natty, and really like proper dark stuff, man. And after we had already lost all the money from Defcon and the stock, I was like, why am I doing this, mate? I love helping other people. It's not like I desperately need this. So that's where Natty Speaks came from, because I couldn't keep Natty any longer because my name had been completely erased. So then I thought, well, what can I do? So I thought, well, if I put Speaks after Natty, it doesn't matter what other Natty speaks to anybody. Natty Speaks will always come up in the search engine.
Yeah.
So that's how Natty Speaks come about. So now I get back up in the search engine. And the joke about it is that Natty album I put out, which was on Spotify, is probably still to this day my most played and listened to thing. And it's probably because of all of the marketing and money that the other Natty had spent on him from their record label, which is now benefiting me all these years later.
That's crazy, man.
You know,
wow.
I did wonder, because I was obviously having a little look around before the show for a bio and all that sort of stuff, and yeah, you're right. That's all that comes up is other Natty. And there's nothing linked. There's nothing linked to your stuff at all. No.
Yeah, it's all gone other than on Spotify, and it's a madness. But the thing for it is, I can't fight a major label. I can't fight a major label, mate. I mean, this is one example of it. I mean, we've had 2 run-ins with Elton John's people, like as lyrics. So I can't go into details and stuff, but like, you know, it's like these people on the surface, they pretend, we're for the community, we're for music, we're for that. But then as soon as they get the opportunity to shut down the little man, they send in their big teams and like, no, you can't do that, you can't do this, you can't do that. And, you know, we don't talk about it. Nobody really talks about what goes on in this industry. We've got superstars. I don't know if you know KG, like Carl Gordon, who's from Outlaw Posse, another group that I grew up on listening to. But I mean, that guy has done huge things, you know, huge accolades in music and stuff like this. But we forget that. Like we're always like, our mind is selective in who we want to remember. There's so many pioneers out there that have actually paved the way. And then every so often, one of those old pioneers will pop up again, like Blade has recently with everything that he's doing. And you just think to yourself, well, you know, there's opportunities out there for everybody. Nobody needs to be jealous of somebody else. Nobody needs to go and tread on somebody else's business. Nobody needs to start getting all like, you know, not aggressive, but bitchy, you know, all of this type of stuff. And I've heard it. I've been at shows where I've been the host, and then I've said, that act's going on before the main artist. I knew that was going to happen. I can't believe it, man. Do you know what I mean? I always get on there before us. What the fuck was going on? And the amount of times I hear that shit, and I'm just like, wow. And it's got to the point on 2 different occasions where I was like, do you know what? Do you want to introduce the artist? Oh, can I? Yeah, bro. Introduce the artist. If you love the artist that much that you're going to cry because these guys are playing before them, you introduce the artist. Oh, thanks, man. And on both occasions, they did go out there and introduce the artist. And they probably know who I'm talking about when they see this, because they'll know it's them. But it's like, guys, are we in the playground still? Like,
yes. The answer is yes. That is what it's like sometimes, yeah.
It's scary,
man.
Playground. And
Did
you watch any of the stuff, the interview we done with Blade?
Do you know what? I'm going to be really honest with you guys. I have a whole list of stuff I've got to catch up
Yeah,
on.
no.
And I'm hoping from Friday I can sit down and catch up on so many things I need to go and watch and stuff.
No, it's just we sort of got on this same subject with Blade, really. That
Okay.
that people need to sort of find the space they want to fit into, and then just focus on that space. And you know, so it's sort of like a process of growing up. That everybody, the scene could sort of it could be like more cohesive if everybody sort of took a place in it, rather than trying to cover too many bases or trying to, you know, be everything or be everyone. If they just realize where their talent lies and just focus on that one thing and try not to be, you know, everything. If you're a good designer, be a good designer, but you haven't got to be a good designer and a rapper as well. You know, you can just be a designer.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, there's roles for everybody.
We need
isn't
designers.
there?
Yeah.
We definitely need designers. Everyone needs a designer. There's that as well. You even just talking about that, like with a label. So you need somebody to do the artwork if you're not good at art.
Mm-hmm.
You need then somebody to make sure it's all positioned in the right place. And you need your ISRC codes now. But back in the day, you needed your barcodes pressed on everything. And there's all these tiny little elements. I mean, with Blade was the first person that I really looked up to and respected in the terms of I've never seen anyone do what he did, which was just selling records out the back of his car or absolutely anywhere he could do, turning up at every event I was ever at with the biggest smile on his face, bringing that high octane energy that he brought every time that he stepped on stage. And at one point, he had one of my favourite artists who we got to work with Deficits, R.I.P., who basically came to the studio, the Defcon studios and that, which I would never have met if it wasn't for Blade in the first place. But me and Blade go back a long way, thankfully, because of Mr. Thing and First Rate, who was Scratch Perverts back in the day, because Blade used to come down to our little events, and you know, and now it's a joke because now actually Blade and my age aren't that far apart from one another. But when you're a 16-year-old boy, like Blade to me is like a 30-year-old like pioneer who's absolutely everywhere, and you know, this is what I want to emulate, you know. But he's another great guy, man. I remember being at a wedding once and he phoned me and I was on the phone to him for 2 hours. It's like, dude, I've got to go, man. I'm at a wedding. I shouldn't even be on the phone to you. But it's just one of those things. Like sometimes there's people you want to speech. Yeah, exactly. You want to talk to people, mate. But he is, in my opinion, he left before he should have left. I think he had another couple of big things that were going to happen in him. Yeah. And RIP to Mark as well, because you know what him and Mark created together was pretty magical, man. What Mark created with Task Force as well. There's some pretty magical work there. Work, you know. But it's a crazy world, man. And you know, with everything that's going on at the moment, with the whole, you know, did you have a vaccine? Didn't you? Oh, you're this, you're that. Oh, you're going to try and murder my mum. You're after my grandparents. Like, we haven't learned from Brexit. We've just allowed ourselves to step back into another arena, which reminds me a little bit of the old Colosseums, you know, like back in the Roman times, where we're just all getting thrown in there to fight for the spectatorship and enjoyment of the 1%, just to sit there laughing, going, ha, 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 you know, like, look at them, bloody peasants. It's just...
throw bread at them.
You know, throw bread at them. Yeah, watch them fight over it. You know, so I'm gluten free. Can I have the gluten free one, please? You know what I mean? It's like,
you looking for gluten free bread, boy. Imagine that. Right? You're in like what do they call them? Campsites or no? What are they called? Where they apparently people are going to get taken off to. People keep talking about.
Like FEMA camps.
Yeah, FEMA camps and all that. Like, yeah,
asking for
gluten free bread.
Like,
right, vegan cheese and shit.
Yeah, exactly.
You better get the fuck out of here. Do you have Oatly? Do you have no? But the organic one. The organic one.
Is this slop grass fed?
one plant-based burger, please.
You know what I mean? Jeez. Yeah, you better get ready for all of that. So, all right. So, working with kids, I just wanted to ask you about this. Working with kids in terms of rappers, like people were. Shout out to the crew in the building, by the way, man, because there's certain people who are cracking jokes about. What we're saying, there seems to be more rappers than there are anything else, you know, or than there needs to be in a way. And so how is it, obviously, working with kids, it's a hard thing, innit, in terms of like, all right, you might not want to be doing this, right? This is some shit you might not never know nothing about for real. You know, so how do you work with them in terms of still encouraging, but maybe trying to lean them towards something that they might be better at? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, bruv, as I've got older and greyer, I'm more blatant and blunt now, man. But I'm going to be really honest with you, mate. There's some rappers out there right this second making big, massive money who, when I first met them, I would have to count in order, like 1, 2, 3, and drop, and 1, 2, and then I'd have to clap like this in order to get them to help them with their timing and stuff like this. And they're making money now. So at the end of the day, I think anyone can improve. And if you're that passionate about it, it's like, you know, like, man, Miles, your wordplay gets better and better and better and better and better and funnier and funnier and funnier the older you get, man. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, I think if I try not to stem their creativity, but I do think you need to get to a point where you're like, look, you know, like for me, I'm a freestyler, so my thing was always about freestyle MCing and hosting shows and being the MC, like the proper MC that hosts the shows, that is the filler in between everything. That's what I always grew up being, like hosting, like even my TV show when I had it, and that's what I really enjoyed doing. But then I ended up recording down onto vinyl. And that vinyl had not some success, but quite a lot of success with those early DEF CON years. And it blew us away because we never expected it was going to happen. But, you know, I asked myself the question to me, like sometimes, like, you know, why am I rapping still? Do I want to continue to rap? Like, there's so many MCs out there who I literally love, whose wordplay I'm never, ever going to get near. But, you know, if poetry and spoken word and rapping is my freedom and it's what expresses and gets me out of my dark zones, then the same way I would apply this to myself, I'd apply it to the young person. So I try and encourage them as much as possible to get stuff out there. Because, you know, I'll give you one example. There's on Spotify, there's a track called Jesse something and Natty Speaks, yeah? So Jesse's a 13-year-old kid who I work with at a program. I can't go too much into the details of the program, but he was a genius young person who basically could listen to any hip-hop beat and just emulate it and make it like that.
What, like
so
he could reproduce it?
He couldn't read music or write music, but he could just hear anything, or he could listen to a Drake beat and then he could just literally rebuild that beat, like literally in minutes, like not even hours, in minutes, man. It was so inspiring to watch. He wasn't a particularly great rapper, but what he did, and this is what I love, he asked me to do a verse on his song. So I said, yeah, cool, man, I'll do a verse on your song for you. So I did the verse on his song. The guy went and released it. He's 13 years old. He's released it. It's gone on it's got on every single digital channel. Now, no disrespect to Jesse, because he doesn't understand how the process works. But if I'd known he was going to do that, I would at least got it mixed and mastered first and made sure like everything was in place. But some people are like, well, you should tell him you shouldn't do that. That's wrong. You can't do that. And others are like me. I'm like, that's entrepreneurial. That's like, you know what I mean? Like, you went and took something, you blagged me onto your record, and then you actually went and released it. Like, it's kind of genius in a way. Yeah. But he needs to now learn that actually, you know, there's a process and a way that you go about doing things. You know, it would be like me getting you in the studio, Mice, you doing like a little freestyle, never knowing it's going out anywhere, and then me lifting it and putting it on a release and releasing it officially. You know what I mean? And you being like, what? That was just a freestyle, bro.
Oh man, I remember hearing. I was driving, was with Jargon. I think it was with Blue as well, Bluefoot. And it might have been even the first night we heard Eminem, the first time we ever heard him. Like, it was on Westwood, And I think, and you know, like UK hip hop got the last 10 minutes, obviously, like last 10 minutes of the 2-hour show or whatever. Always the last 10 minutes. It's like bam on the dot. And he played like, I think it was open mic. I think it was something like that. And it was like a remix, but it was like it was off. Like the vocals weren't even on beat. It was like offbeat. It was like, what the fuck? And you know, that was the time when I realized, you know, when it was this whole burning CD era, you know, you could just burn a CD of your music and send it in and whatnot. And he obviously was getting sent in stuff. And yeah, I mean, it made me realize, like, right, anyone can do it now. Anyone could just throw out their shit. But this is even crazier, where you could do it and then the next day, bam, it's out. It's not like I've
It's
got to
out.
burn a bunch of CDs, then post it over, or put it through the letterbox.
Wait for the
or-
render.
Yeah. That's crazy, man. It's
I was thinking the
scary
other
now.
day how often we must have spent looking at the rainbow wheel, the wheel that turns around. Like, when we're on our final, when we're 80 and we're on our final breath, it's like, I wonder how
Spent
many
a
months
year.
of our life we spent just staring at that wheel or
Yeah,
waiting for
boy,
something
that's
to
how I
render
put a
to
year
send the
down.
file.
You might as well put a year down for that wheel, boy, because there's plenty more
It's
coming. I mean, I think
exactly.
that wheel ain't stopped turning yet, boy.
It's a crazy thing, man, with the young people, because I feel like you shouldn't discourage anybody. You should give everybody the opportunity, because hopefully through the process they're going to unlock something that they really like. It's a bit like, what's his name, Jamal Edwards. Like, he was a rapper, but he didn't think he was going to be the best rapper, so he decided to set up a platform where he could put the things that he loved on it, and the rest is history.
Right.
But there's quite a few young
Yeah.
people like that I've realized. I think the guy that signed Naughty Boy, I was reading it the other day, I can't remember his name now, it's gone out of my head, but he signed a few artists. But again, he was a rapper, and then he decided one day that he'd be better at being a manager than he would at a rapper, and now he's signed like Emily Sandy and Naughty Boy and loads of other artists. But when you look at that, it's clear that these people are sending out a signal to other young people: guys, you can't all be rappers.
That's
Not everyone
exactly
needs to be a rapper, It's
And someone said it earlier in the chat. This conversation comes up a lot in UK hip hop, that there's too many people trying to do one thing.
Yeah, it's very
too many
telling,
people being the rapper, and
too many people being rappers and stuff. But I think there's a lot of good. I think the wordplay of some of these young people, like some of the stuff, has gone absolutely massive now. I mean, in 2007, I launched a project which was traveling across the United Kingdom, and the whole purpose was I was taking music to areas that didn't tend to get a lot of music. Because when you go to London, everyone's, oh yeah, my dad's got a studio, my cousin's got a studio, yeah, I've got that at home, man. Do you know what I mean? But when you go to, at the time, to villages and seaside towns, many of them didn't have access to studios. So it was the first time they were able to record. Well, this was 2007, and Joe Byrne, who is doing really well at the moment, he's now in his 30s or coming up for 30. He was one of the rappers, and he was in Devon. So I found him in Devon. That's Joe Byrne. So he's doing loads of stuff with skits at the moment and a few people.
Oh, yeah.
In exactly the same year, I found a young girl called Aria, and I didn't find her. She's part of a project down there. But that young girl is now Green Tea Peng. So every single program that we ever do there's always young people that eventually their light shines and they come out, and it's just like, yeah, that's one of our young people from the program. And I've not just got singers and songwriters and musicians that are now in their 30s that I started working with 20 years ago. I've got professional boxers. Like one of my students is on the Eubank fight on October the 3rd. He's on the undercard, Mikhail Lowell. And it's just like loads of my young people have been very successful. But sadly, also, some of my young people died in Grenville, along with their whole family. So when there's two things in my life that were life-changing for me. One of them was 2015, which was working with the refugees and traveling across Europe and seeing what people who have got the same complexion skin to me and dodgy surnames like mine get treated, which was a real eye-opener for me, because, you see it in war films and stuff, but to walk with people who are suffering was a whole different thing for me. And then the other thing was 2017 in Grenville, because, I spent my life trying to teach young people about rights and responsibilities. And when I say that, I'm talking about be responsible for yourself, man, and know your rights. Like, don't let people walk over you. Be strong, but be right. Know what you're talking about. So that particular young person who died with his family in that, he just finished a course with me about rights and responsibilities. And he died in a place where they didn't have their rights respected, and nobody took responsibility for the actions of making that place safe, so these people never needed to die. And between the refugee crisis and that incident with Grenville, it completely changed my, it aligned everything from here to the lower chakra, where for me, it's just like, what are we doing as a society? How can we any longer allow for people to murder our people and to persecute and make others suffer without the whole world uniting? It doesn't matter what political party you support. But there has to be a change that's so fundamental, and that change isn't just going to come from people rioting on the streets and burning things down. It needs to systematically change from the grassroots level all the way through. And, you know, shows like this, having a conversation about it will change it. But what I find really changes it is going to the source, because the young people are the future. That's our next level. So if the young people are acting up and there's a dark energy around them, and this is what I hear sometimes, then who's created that dark energy and why is it around them? You know, and as an adult, why are you allowing it to fester on them?
Do you feel like they're ready to hear, you know, what is causing that and why things are like that, though? Or does it still need to be, you know, like, I wonder, like, at what age do you tell a person, like, okay, this is what the world's really like? Do you know what I mean? Where you just get to the nitty gritty and go like, look, I know you've been taught this, but this is what it's really about, and this is what you need to know. Do you know what I mean?
But then there's another perspective to that, Mice, because if you imagine talking to a tribe deep in the Amazon, who have never ever seen technology or never had any, I mean, you wouldn't be able to communicate with them anyway. But the point being is there's other people out there living a life. If you look at, like, for instance, my 80-year-old auntie, who all she does is meditates and fasts, and that's all she's ever done. And she'll walk past any religious building, it doesn't matter what it is, and she'll stop and say a prayer. This is it. She lives a very, very, very simple life. It's like, to her, that's her life. That's her magic. That's it. She's got, that's how she wants to live. So I guess it's, we were talking earlier, and I was saying, like, if you want to own a Ferrari and that's your goal in life, if you get to 30 years old and you've got your Ferrari, now your goal is to be able to keep it, because obviously that's an expensive thing to run. So you now need to have enough money to earn it. But if you don't get that Ferrari until you're 80 years old, then your life journey's been that whole 80 years to get to the Ferrari. If you're lucky enough to get it when you're 30, then wow, congratulations to you. You know, I'm really, really super, super happy for you. But I think in life, what happens is somebody will come along and say, wow, why do you want a Ferrari for? Why don't you get a Bentley? Why don't you get a Lamborghini? Like, it doesn't matter why are you saying that? Like, the guy wants to get a Ferrari. Let him, leave her. Like, let them go and get what it is that they want. As long as it's not hurting or harming anybody else. Like, why do you care what it is what they're interested in? If you've got something positive to say about it, amazing. But if what you've got to say about it is negative, then just move on. Go away. Like, and that's about anything. Oh, I don't like that rapper, that rapper's this. Well, so what? But you don't have to say they're that and they're that and they're that, because that negative cursing and energy you're putting out into the thing is only going to come back and just hit you anyway. You know? So, you know, I wish people knew the power of energy and the power of words, because if they really, truly knew the power of energy and the power of the words, people wouldn't say half the stuff that they say. And if they really understood, like, for instance, color therapy, the color blue, if you struggle with talking, put blue around your throat. If you are struggling with love and you feel unloved and you just can't pick your energy up, wear green. The heart chakra, you know, flood it with green, walk in a field. This is why they say to people, like, to walk in green spaces, because green spaces is electrifying your heart. That's the heart chakra, right? Yeah, it's bringing the sustenance back to your heart, which is obviously then pumping your life around your whole entire body. So, you know, if you're feeling flat and you can't do anything, you're so low, put on orange or put on red. This is why it's rag to a ball.
Or
like,
disco.
you know, the red lift you up and get you, like, moving. It's why when you go to a supermarket, all of the offers come under red banners, because they want you to zombify yourself towards the, you know, towards the shelves and stuff, man. But yeah, I think energy is so important, and protecting your energy, like rolling with the people around you who are there to empower you and to support you and push you along, not ones that are behind your back saying other things, you know?
Yeah, like, I think that's been my problem, boy.
All right, yeah, I'll get the message.
You fool. Yeah, joker.
Don't worry, Dad. He's been ignoring me for 20 years now. It's taken 20 years to have this conversation.
He's got us on here to let us know now.
No, man. You're not taking the piss, man. But nah, you know, I get exactly what you're saying. But yeah, carry on, man. Sorry.
No, dude. It's just, I just feel like it pains me sometimes, because I come from, like, I've been really fortunate. I laugh to myself sometimes to think of all the places I've been to. I've been to over 28 different countries. Most of them have been through music or through television. It's all been independently done. Nothing I've ever done has come with huge, ridiculous budgets. It's always been stuff that I've been passionate about. Even now, delivering all these programs, or what people need to understand, I don't just deliver the programs. I do all the fundraising. I get every single penny. You know, the thousands of pounds I run a year to put into programs and projects, I go and find that money. So when it comes to delivering these programs, I'm delivering, like, you know, I have trustees, obviously, that tell me, yeah, okay, you can deliver that, or no, that's not right now. But which protects us and, you know, makes it all professional. Again, coming back to being professional, even though it's me fundraising the money and bringing the money into an organisation, I can't then just go and write myself a 30 grand check and just go and spend it on, you know, hiring a Ferrari for the month so that I can fulfil this 80-year-old man's ambition. But, you know, Ferrari. It's just crazy, man. I feel like there's so much ground that we could cover, so many different topics. But again, like I just think and feel all the time, people will try and stealth your energy. They'll try and stop your flow.
I want you to break down the energy thing, because you said that if people understood the power behind energy as well as words, so that's in what way, if you're trying to introduce that to somebody, in what way do you break that down?
I'm sick. Yeah, that's sick. I'm sick. So the minute that you're saying, "Oh, I'm sick," that's sick. You're using the word sick. You're using the term sick. So yeah, you know, bad meaning good, but you know, it's all good. Like, you know, it's just the things that are negative, talking down on yourself. Some people don't even speak it; they just think it. Like, "Oh, I'm never gonna get that." No, I mean, I'm never going to get that. The example I gave you about PRS. Oh, what's the point in signing up to the PRS anyway? It's pointless, man. But it's not pointless. Yeah. No, even if it's 80 quid, it's still 80 quid that you're owed. You know what I mean? And when it comes to energy levels, we're too, like, everything we do, like, think of the mass population that go to work. They go to work on buses, or they go to work in tube trains or on trains.
Pissed off,
and you're all crammed into that space.
Everyone just looks pissed off. You know, when you don't do that shit that regular, so when you do it, you just realize, like, wow, everyone is just grey and pissed off. Boy. Yeah. Staring at their phones or the newspaper, like, pissed off, like, yeah.
Exactly. I did it this morning for the first time in ages. I had to get on the actual tube before 9 o'clock. And I was just like, wow. And I was looking at people just thinking, man, this was my life like 25, 30 years ago when I first moved to London. And now I've built my life so that I don't start anything really early in the morning. And if I do have to start anything early in the morning, then I'm going to go and stay in a hotel so I'm next to the place so that I don't have to worry and stress too much about fighting people in the morning. Yeah. Because there's more to life than the hours and hours you spend on, or traveling and commuting to work. And I realized people would say, well, not everyone's got the same opportunities. Man, I came from a family who don't come from wealth. I'm not a rich man, but I have a business. The business has been running a very, very long time. I dip in and out of music and film all of the time. I try and keep my finger in there and stuff. And you can do it. Like, you know, I don't have, I don't know about you, Miles, but my mum and dad don't know anything about music. They know what they like, but they don't know, never set up a business. They always been worked as nurses. So I had nobody to turn to go, well, how do you set up a business? How do you do this? How do you do that? It's stuff that I learned, and which is why I now teach it to young people. Because when they say, well, how do you know that? Well, because I've been through it. Like, how do you know what it was like to lose a business? Well, because we lost DEFCON. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, like, that business was lost, and it was lost not through the fault of our own. You know, it's a shame now because we could digitize everything and put it all up onto the streaming channels. Not that we would get loads of money out of it, but still it would be able to be heard. But unfortunately, we don't have the DATs anymore, which is probably the story of most people from the 90s and from the 2000s and that, man. You know, we just don't have them. So we can't
masters, Ain't got them masters, you know what I'm saying?
You know, exactly. I've got some of my masters because I dealt with things slightly differently, but the main all DEFCON masters and that have have gone, so it's one of those, man. But you have to learn from it. Like if I look at, and I didn't want to bring it up, but if I look at like the Low Life story as an example, when I look at stuff like that, because it affects too many people I'm friends with, including yourself, Miles. But when I look at that,
it's all good, man. Chat about it. Go
think to
in,
myself sometimes, like, did the guy actually do a runner, or did he just have a bit of a breakdown, or did he not make any money at all? And actually has just never been able to sit with anyone to show them the figures, because obviously if people get near him, they're probably going to cause problems and stuff, man. But I don't know. I don't know the full story of it, but it's not isolated. You hear this story on many occasions. There's many artists that don't own their masters. There's many artists that have no idea how the business side of anything works. It's crazy.
You have to wait for our film Searching for Brain Tax, when our documentary's done.
Looking for brain tax, man. Searching for the tax man.
Brain tax.
Searching for the tax man, boy. See him just.
Yeah, but I know that caused a lot of issues and a lot of problems, because there's a lot of people out there that could be making money now off of those things. But then again, that's if they're PRS registered. Like, I'll be honest with you guys. I've never spoken about this story before, but I landed a massive, huge ITV job, and they picked. It's all around the same period of time. So between 2004 and 2008, loads of my music got synced. It was all over the place, adverts and Newsbeat, all kinds of stuff. But what happened was I'd done a deal with ITV for the instrumentals of my album, the About Time album, and they were using all the instrumentals across this thing called Sally the Psychic. Now, Sally the Psychic was an ITV2, but it was so successful it got put onto prime time, so it went
Sally
to ITV1.
the Psychic.
Sally the Psychic, yeah. So basically what happened was the artists, and I'm not going to mention who they are, but there was 4 artists on my album. They're all pretty big names, and now they're even bigger than they were then. And none of them were PRS registered. Now, that was deemed as out of copyright. Which it was. So if you're out of copyright, then no one's going to touch your music, because you could come back and sue them later. So as a result of it, they couldn't use the music on the album because of these 4 people not being PRS registered. And it was one of the biggest lessons I ever learned in my life. So now what I do is I pay everybody up front, and they sign off the rights, or they're PRS registered, or we're not doing the track in the first place, because otherwise it can lead to these problems.
That's so wrong, man. There's, there's a few situations like that I've been in where I've realized, like, okay, if people aren't going to be professional enough to kind of make things work, it's never going to work. So you kind of have to just leave it at that. But that is a thing. Like, I think there are certain minds that they just want to make the music. Like, we all just want to make the music and put it out. We don't really want to have to deal with how you put it out and all the logistics behind it all. But unfortunately, that's part of it if you want to be independent. And then, but there are some people that they just cannot deal with that. There's no way in shape or form. And then they've tried and it may not have worked. And for them, they probably do need the management. They need the team behind them. And so they probably got to work on that. But yeah, it's so tricky to even work with people on certain levels because of that. Because you're like, yeah, but my man's gonna mess up the thing, and you're like, oh man, UK hip hop, man, it's never like just straight and narrow and.
but you say that as well, but also there's a lot of artists that have done really well, man. Like, you think about
for sure.
Yeah, with the FIFA one recently. I mean, Shady's on it, Pav's on it, Che Lingo's on it. There's quite a few others and stuff as well. And I think
it's Ocean Wisdom as well.
Ocean Wisdom. Yes, this is the things that are the gains for the industry, because the more people that see that. I mean, we run the Mexican Beatbox Championships, and I host the UK Beatbox Championships. So I see the amount of effort that goes into not just putting on an event, but all of the promo, all of the investment, all of the contacts, the sponsors, everything that goes on behind the scenes to build it. And it's exactly the same with your music, whatever you're releasing. So when you look at certain people out there that are working continuously, there's loads of labels out there that are doing well. I mean, obviously High Focus is one that you have to tip your hat to, because they've gone and broken through barriers and they've gone on to take it to the next level.
Yeah.
And I really hope that they continue to push that, because if one label is successful, then sponsors and investors then start looking to invest into the next level. And then that level will build and that level will build. But you have to ask yourself, in any business, look at anything, like ask yourself the question, why would somebody invest in you?
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
And what are they investing in you for?
Yeah.
So for me, as an example, in my 20s, people used to invest in me for music. They used to invest in me for TV shows. They used to invest in me for those types of things. As I've got older, people invest in me now more to deliver youth programs, or to go in and advise on youth programs, or to go in and, try and shape, at the moment, there's a project that's coming up, which is going to involve migrant young people, refugee young people, some young people from a Peru, and young people from a local traveller program. And that is bringing them all together, and over 5 days creating a couple of pieces of music, which will then either get performed or get released. We're not sure exactly which direction that's going to go in yet. But that is what I want to do. I want to bring loads of different communities together, because really and truly, everyone that I've ever met in my life, and on that trip with the refugees in 2015, I mean, I genuinely met like doctors, nurses, lawyers, business people, and families, mums and dads carrying their children and the only belongings that they've got in like a little rucksack, or in some cases a plastic bag. And when you walk with these families, it could be my mum, it could be my dad, it could be my auntie, it could be my uncle, it could be like my neighbours, it could be absolutely anybody. And you walk with them and you can't help but taking on that energy, that somber feeling. You share their tears, you share their bread, you share their life, you share their energy. And you think to yourself, my nan always used to tell me about when World War II was happening, and she had to evacuate and stuff. And you think, we had to evacuate in Europe, and some other countries took us in, different places took us in, and now others are having to evacuate. They're greeted by a wall of suspicion from people saying, you're coming in and you're trying to take my jobs. And clearly, I hope the British people can see now that nobody was coming to take your jobs, because right now there's 2 million vacancies in this country and none of you lazy bastards want to fill them. So like, what's going on? Do you know what I mean? Now they're having to call back the immigrants because nobody wants to take the jobs. You couldn't make this stuff up, mate. This is 2021, and this is what we're living through. And to be honest with you, Mice, if you look back at what we were talking about 20 years ago in UK hip hop, like, it's like we be careful what you wish for, and words are powerful. It's like all of us wrote all this conspiracy stuff. All of us wrote about these Masons. All of us wrote about the 1%. All of us wrote about the IBMs and all of these companies. And here we are 25 years later, and we're literally living through the stuff we were listening to. And it's like, what's going on? Like, what's actually happening at the moment?
Yeah, that's the weird part as well. I don't know whether there's some people that didn't really listen to the music or not, or what, but that's what it felt like to me. It's like, oh shit, this is coming up then. This is like what they were talking about. And even in Stakes is High, and in that album Stakes is High, De La Soul, there was little gems about all of this sort of stuff. And it's just like, it baffles me how many people don't see it, but are from a certain era where you would have heard a lot about this sort of stuff.
The thing is, of continually being called a conspiracy theorist. You're a conspiracy theorist, Mice. You're a conspiracy theorist. And then, like, all these years later, you're like, damn, I'm a prophet. I'm a prophet, man. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I'm a prophet. Like, I was talking all this shit and now it's happening. And for some people, it must drive them crazy. I mean, if you can imagine those that really deeply spoke about these types of topics, right this second, they must all be losing their minds and genuinely actually losing their minds, because this is like some Truman Show shit, what we're all going through at the moment. It's divisionary. It's crazy, man.
Shout to Mr. Green in the chat room. There's a few, big up all the heads in the chat room. Yamar, Easy Reezy does it. What's going on, bruv? Shout to Peter Lewis Kisser. Shout to Nicole Kisser. Shout to Uncle Barry O in the building. Jeez. Shout to Lateral. Yeah, there's people giving you some mad props as well, brother.
Well, thanks, guys. So anyone that ever listens to me, I thank you. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, my parents don't listen to me, so thank you. No, they do really. I'm joking. No, thanks, man. And Mice, thanks for having me, and Dan as well, man. I
No,
love
no
this.
all good,
problem,
bruv.
man.
This
It's
is a
really
wicked
good.
chat, man.
Yeah.
Like it's enlightening as well. So Mr. Green was saying, but it's always been happening, which is very true. So like going back to what you're saying about people talking about it, but in terms of the music, in terms of hip hop music, there were people talking about it a lot. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
you know, even the Dead Prez and all that.
You can even go back to probably Grandmaster Flash, Furious 5. Stuff, you know, there's stuff in it. It's always been it's just been part of
The culture.
of the
in a way.
culture.
Yeah.
Is that like it's been about trying to reestablish a separate community away from the mainstream community of, you know, governments and police and all the rest of it. So it's always been about that. I think in some ways the mainstream of rap music has been so, you know, flattened, and now it's just about tight trousers and auto-tune that
Tattoo
like,
and chains on your forehead and that.
yeah, but and blood in your trainers and all this, you know, all this. But it's the actual stream, the consciousness stream of hip hop is like it's always been the same. The
Yeah.
consciousness of it, you know.
Yeah.
I believe so, but I think more what I'm referring to is the fact that I can't believe that we're all sitting here, and over the last 25 years, everything that we've been listening to is played out right in front of us, and yet there doesn't seem to be like a resistance as such. Like the sort of players I thought might be out there, like, you know, flying flags and being like, nah, we're not going to stand for this. I don't really see them around. And I know that he's spoken about a lot in music, but I just wonder where we go. Like, where do we go from here?
You can't expect
Because,
musicians to do anything. Sorry, Natty.
There's a reason why
they're just depressed. So, you know.
You know, there is like, and depression is a direct result of a sick society. And it's a sick society that we've been putting plasters over for so long, but really they need to be glued, or it needs to be completely brought back down and then rebuilt again. And I struggle to see like where we're going to go with this, man. I mean, like, you know, we've got a lot of political rappers in this country. Some of them are more on it than others. Some of them are more outspoken than others, and some of them arguably, like, you know, could do a lot more. But it's not.
But then what can they do? You know, what can they do really?
Sorry, go on. No, I was going to say you can only work within your power. So if all the power you've got is to write words, then that's your power. You can't go beyond that level of your power and you know, try and change things too much. You can change. Obviously, things change with words. We know that you can change things with words because we've all read books that have changed our lives, or we've all listened to songs that have changed our lives. But you know, musicians need to know that's like their skill is like trying to formulate their words in a way that it affects people, and not just like thinking, oh, I'm just going to water it down a little bit for this one, or I'm just not going to try very hard. And that's the problem with allowing everybody the chance to do music, or to be, you know, to everyone to rap. Not everyone's got something important to say, and not the things that people think is important to say. Not all of those things are actually important.
You saying you don't want to hear about my tattoos?
Yeah, and some things are important to
Tat
people,
on my
but they're not
ass.
important to others. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's, you know, again, it's that whole thing. Like, you know, the guy that wants the Ferrari, and then everyone goes, no, that's not the car you want. You want to get this one. You want to get that one. Like, leave the guy alone. Do you know what I mean? If that's what he's got his mindset on, let him just go and do what he's set on. I mean, you can make it in any game. In anything, if you apply yourself correctly, you will make it in any game. And this whole age thing as well, which really does my head in. It's like, you could put a record out. Well, it happens all the time. I just recently had a record re-released from 1995. It was my first jungle record I ever put out, and it got re-released at the start of last year. And it's like, that's something that came out so many years ago, but somebody discovered it, picked it up, contacted me, and asked me if they could re-release it. And I was like, well, yeah. Well, that can happen with any of our music. Somebody might pick something up that you've done, Mice, 20 years ago, and say, oh, can we use this on the Rice Krispies advert or something? And then you'll just be like, well, yeah, if you want to, man, like cha-ching. And it's the thing with music is it's there forever. It's there forever, especially if you've put it out and it's registered and it's digitized, or it's in a physical space. Other people can find it and they can appreciate it forever and ever and ever. And it surprises me sometimes because, when I look back at that album that came out in 2004, it's still getting plays on Spotify. It's still out there. It still had over 60 million plays via the Ronaldo. When Ronaldo was at Man United the first time, there's a clip of him doing loads of tricks and stuff, and it's one of the songs of the About Time album, and it's been reached by 60 million people just on that platform alone. So when you look at that type of thing, it really blows my mind how far music can travel, and in areas where you least expect it to. You didn't expect you to see it on that show. Or it crops up on a TV thing that you weren't even aware that it was on, and you're like, that's my beat. You just think, cool, that's nice, cha-ching.
Wow.
But I do think there's something I want to clarify here. Going back to what you guys were saying, should everyone rap? Or should some people you just tell them, like, don't bother?
Yeah, everyone shouldn't be rapping, man. That's all. You know what I mean? I'll just end it on that.
No, but I think everyone should rap and everyone should try and rap, but maybe some people shouldn't put stuff out. Like, do you know what I mean? You get to the point where you've done, you're because it's an expression. It's an expression. It's a bit like, let's go back to an old school person who I'm sure Miles will know the name of, Marco Magic.
Marco Magic, son. Marco Magic, yeah. And he had this like little lisp and he's rapping, and he used to rap really fast on the beat, and he'd have his hand, hold on a minute. Like someone would come and try and grab the microphone. Yeah, hold up, bruv. Yeah. And he'd always like, So Solid, something to do with So Solid. He'd always big up himself about, So Solid, yeah, big up to So Solid, we got the #1, yeah. And I do believe it's #1 for 4 weeks. Anyway, DJ, come with it. Bluefoot, if Bluefoot's locked in, he'll know, because we used to rate my mate. He bought us 12-inch. I think it was a white label, and it was like, what was it called? The Ladies. What was his single, man? The Ladies Champ. No, the Ladies. Come on, man. It was something like the Ladies Champ or the Ladies Man or something. Marco Magic.
Yeah, it was. It was on I think we got a mixtape of it because we got sent. We used to get sent demos all the time, innit, at DEF CON. And he was one of the demos in there. And the only reason I bring up his name is because I know a lot of people bring up his name, and I've seen it brought up in other interviews. And I always think, like, you'll say Marco Magic, yeah, he should rap because it brought him enjoyment. It brought him happiness. And whether you thought he was good or you didn't like him at all, it didn't matter. This guy we're still talking about. There was rappers around at that time who were really, really amazing. We don't talk about them anymore. No one brings their name up. And to be honest with you, I can't even remember half the names at that time, but I'll never forget Marco Magic.
Wow.
So, what I mean? He brought a lot of love and enjoyment. I saw you smile when you thought of his name.
Man.
Every single person I mentioned that name to, it's the same reaction.
Yeah. And I guess, I think it's just the thing of, like, there was a time when it and it probably wasn't even like that. We just thought it was like that. But it was a time when you just felt like everything that came out was of a quality, was like of a standard that was high. But maybe it was just at that age, that's what it felt like, with that sort of experience that we had. See it there? Yeah, see.
They must have heard his name.
Shout out to Blue Fliggy. That's what I'm saying. If Blue's locked in, you remember Bluefoot, innit?
Yeah.
He said his favourite, Marco Magic, his favourite. The LP was The Game of Death, and the single, was it? The Game of Death, and the single was, Ladies' Favourite, that's it. Marco Magic, yes. Blue's got both releases, man. And,
I've got the demo somewhere.
What, of Ladies' Favourite?
I don't know which one it is, but it's just a Marco Magic demo from when we were at the DEF CON days and stuff, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I've got so many demos from people.
Oh, okay. See, I wonder who released it, because I think it was a white label.
Yeah, it wasn't us, man. Like, we were too busy, like, do you know what I mean? But it's like, because it was the whole Manage time. I don't know if I met Marco Magic through Manage or something at an event.
Shout out to Manage, man.
But yeah, Manage has been killing it, man. And there you go. This is an example of progression. Like, Manage as an example. Like, I think Manage has got better and better and better, not just as a lyricist, but with his wordplay. But equally at the same time, his beats he's making at the moment. It's like, yes, bruv. Like, respect. That whole Lab 79 stuff is
Killing it, man.
is popping off, bruv. So
Yeah.
I mean, there's not anybody in this game I don't talk to. Like, there's everyone I still talk to. I've not fallen out with nobody. Life is sweet. Like, I try and get on with everybody. I don't know if anyone remember. I used to go to events, and I used to take a friend with me. He's not with us anymore, sadly, but he was a hedge fund banker, and he looked like a hedge fund banker. And I used to take him to hip hop events with me because he was like really passionate about hip hop. Really liked it for whatever reasons. He was really into it. But that's my example. I used to take him to places because he wanted to invest. He wanted to invest in the music. And there was some occasions where we got this close to really, really spending out on some quite big named artists. And then it always got to the last little bit, and then the professionalism just wasn't there. And he was just like, why am I going to chuck 30 grand at that? It's just not going to happen. But he used to chuck, it's funny actually, the EOW finals one year where I got into the final with Stig. That year he helped to fund that particular EOW. And that's a crazy thing for me, like being in a battle with Stig. I mean, I lost, but like, it doesn't bother me because at the end of the day, by then I'm in my 30s and I've got no ego. But also, this is Stig, and I'm in a battle, and I'm in the final battling Stig. Like, how the heck, where did this even come from, and how did this even come about? This makes no sense to me. We're decades apart from one another, and he's a new school who I've got so much respect for, and I'm looking at him. The reason I'm telling you this story is because we mentioned manage. So I'll break this story down for you quickly. Somebody never turned up for the EOW rounds. Yeah. And I ended up getting pushed into it. And I was like, I'm not here for that. I'm not here for that. And in the end, Manage and Snuff followed me around the club. And every corner I turned, they'd be like, bruv, you've got to do this. We're one down. We're one down. We can't do this without you. And in the end, they wore me down, man, like hyenas on a lion or something. And I was like, I'll do it. I'll do it. Anyway, I won, man. I won, and I got through to the final. And it was against some guy from Birmingham, Flip Tricks. And then I beat those two and then got through to the final, which was like a month later. And I don't think Flip's ever forgiven me because as far as I'm concerned, Flip's much better than me, man. He's got lyrics and gameplay and like he's an astute businessman. Do you know what I'm saying? So sorry, Flip, bruv, you know?
Yeah,
so,
big up to the High Focus crew, man. Killing it.
So, killing it.
I think they got, I think they might be down in Fabric on Friday. I think this Friday they got a showcase going on.
Yeah,
so,
I think I'll see that as well.
Head down there if you can, mother lovers. Yeah, there were people shouting out a few other labels as well. Blah Records, they're killing it.
Big up Blah, man. Blah's done some amazing stuff actually. Like they've really like raised the flag. There's loads of because I don't know if anyone doesn't know, but I host Poco Loco. So through Poco Loco, I get to see everything, man. Like the Blah showcase was, I can't remember if it was 2019 or 2018, but that was an amazing showcase. So I just get to watch all of his side of stage, or I walk out the front and just sit at the front watching it all, man.
But I know, but I see you, bro. I see you, bro.
The quality of hip hop in this country right now is the best that it's ever been.
Yeah, come on,
it's the best it's ever been.
Killing it now.
It's the best it's ever
been.
That's
definite, boy.
And, we need to talk it up, we need to talk it up. The only thing I want to see is more professionalism, but also, like we're a community, guys. We will really reap the rewards of being a community if we are a community. Stop cussing one another. Stop treading on people's toes. Stop thinking the next man's getting more than you. Just stay on your grind and work hard. And, you will reap the rewards in the long run. It's just you've got to be in for the long run. You didn't become a hip-hop artist or a rapper in the UK because you thought you was going to become a multi-millionaire. You did it because it was a way of you releasing your anger or your stress, or it was something you was passionate about. Your passion will make you rich. I'm not a millionaire, but I'm a semi-professional musician, and I'm a full-time paid to do music. Like, however you look at it, that's my life now. Now, as a 14-year-old, if you'd ever said to me, you're going to spend pretty much 75% of your life getting paid to do music, I would take that. I'd be like, tick. Give that to me, man.
That brings us round to, nice segue, round to the
investigation.
Maestro Investigates.
Shout
yeah,
out.
you're right. If you could go back to your 14-year-old self and tell him you're going to be a working musician, yeah, you're right.
What in it? What? Shout out to Raisin, Tubbs, and Weenodge. I see you, mother lovers out there. Yeah, man, the chat room's going off. There's a lot.
Nice, man.
People are bigging you up. If I say everything, it's going to take forever. So, you know what I mean? You can check out the chat room if you're able. Yeah. But yeah, this week's Mice Investigates, where I got a freaking toad in my throat, man.
Yeah.
No frog, boy.
Just to bring
The
it
hell?
just to bring it round to something a bit light-hearted at the end, because it's been a really good it's been like a really good chat, and yeah, you've said some absolute fucking knowledge.
Natty's
in there.
deep, man. The thing is, I know he can get deeper as well, but he's like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
people
yeah,
might
yeah.
think
You've got to
I'm...
hold back in a 2-hour show.
He's talking about the chakras and all that. He's like, oh.
Bro, but ask me any direct questions. I'll be happy to answer them, mate. I can answer
We'll have you back about the chakras and all that stuff. I think that.
Yeah, we
please.
should. I'd like to get deep into that because
Yeah.
obviously you've travelled places as well, and you've got into some. I know you get into meditation and stuff like that as well.
Bruv, I've been in some deep places. Man. The deepest thing that has ever happened to me was surviving the worst earthquake in Mexican history. That was pretty deep. That was September 2017. So we're celebrating the 4th year of that now, which is crazy, man. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
How was that, man?
That it was mental. Like, it was literally mental. The walls were falling around me. The furniture was flying. It was just like something out of a movie. I can't even realize. Still to this day, I'm a bit like, shit, did that happen, or was I dreaming it? But it actually really did happen, man. And I think those are the things and experiences where you draw on the knowledge of the chakras, where you draw on the knowledge of color therapy, when you draw on the knowledge of being able to breathe. I mean, if there's one thing human beings need to learn, it's to breathe. Push your tongue to the top of your mouth, breathe through your nose, exhale. Do this 3 times. If ever you're feeling stressed or anxious or angry, do it 3 times and then make your decision. Yeah? I'm going to punch the guy in the face. Do that 3 times. Then you might still punch them in the face. You might stop.
And then
You know,
by
At
the
least you
second-
won't be out of breath. When you do
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Bro, by the second inhale, you box. Like, you be like, oh. No, but you're right, though. You're right. Breathing, apparently we don't breathe properly either. We're very shallow breathers, aren't we? And it's to do with all the stress that we have to deal with, like, you know, getting to work, coming back, what am I going to eat? I've got to make sure I watch this. Oh, I've got to call blah, blah, blah. Got to scratch my bum. Oh, shit. Scratch too hard. Yo, let's get into some Mice Investigates, man. Yeah, I mean,
Let's
you know what time it is, mother lovers.
Mice Diggy.
Yeah, we missed this one.
Investigates.
We missed this one. Shout out to the crew locked in. This week, Mice Investigates. If you could go back in time to warn your 10-year-old self about the future, what would be that warning? If you could go back in time to warn your 10-year-old self about the future, what would that warning be, mother lovers?
So, Natty, what's your...
Yeah, I'm thinking, man, what would my warning be to myself?
You know what I mean?
It's a tough
Terminate
one, man.
yourself.
I'm trying to work out how to get the balance right. But the main thing would be to try and get the balance between technology and nature. That would be what I would try and tell myself. Try and get the balance between technology and nature, because technology is a really beautiful thing, but we will have nothing if we lose nature. We won't even have the technology because everything will just be gone. So there's no point, you know? So that would be for me. Like, you know, I really feel that as a society, as a humanity, we need to nurture this earth. Forget all the climate change, like the policies and all of the things they're throwing at us. Just from soul beings, so earth beings, we need to nurture and look after the ground that we walk on. I'm not saying worship it, but if you value the future, then worship it as well, you know? So that's what I would say, yeah, like just try and get the balance between tech and nature.
You can't be out there on the lawn with your laptop on AstroTurf. You know what I mean? You know, you got fake plants and shit. Everything's just siliconed out.
Be professional. Be professional, man. I mean, in my early days of hip hop, I had way too many laughs, man, before I started to get professional about wanting to make music and stuff, man. I mean, I'll just give you an example. If you look at Pavan or you look at Blade, professional. Just professional.
Yeah, from the jump.
Professional.
From the
Professional.
jump. Yeah, Pavan
you know,
was on it from the jump, man.
You know, set a goal, go for it, plan
Yeah.
it out, execute it, professional. And there's a lot of people out there.
Yeah, you're right.
Fliptrix, professional. The vision in place, everything's there. Go for it. And sadly, in this country, I feel like there's a lot of businesses, any business, not just music, but you might get a really good record label, as an example, and just as they're getting somewhere, they run out of capital, and that's it. It's gone. And the Raucous would be a good example of that, or Wordplay when it was with Virgin. When they re-released like the London Posse stuff, and then shortly after that they had other artists and everything on there as well, and then they just dispersed and vanished. Blade was on that as well, wasn't he? With the Mark B and Blade album, I believe.
Yeah, man, taking it back, boy, taking it back, baby. All right, let's get into some answers then. With this, because you went deep there. That was a really good answer there. It's like find that, that virtual line. Would it be virtual or it would be a real line? Would it be a natural line between technology and nature? It's a hard one because we're going through it now, but you know what I mean? It seems to be leaning more technology where you're like, all right, bruv, hold on a minute. I don't know if I want to do all that shit though. You know what I mean? Let me just play with my computer. You know what I mean?
We
I
are
just wanna play some
literally
games.
There's people out there literally going for walks in virtual reality while staying in their houses.
That's crazy.
And you're kind of like, wow, okay, I understand the use of that for certain things, but actually, like, just go to the woods, guys. Like, just go and have a walk in the woods, like, touch a tree. You don't have to go all the way and hug it, but touching it, you never know, man. You might get some vibrations off it,
Nothing wrong with hugging trees.
Take your shoes off. You know what I mean? Walk around. You got to take your shoes off, walk around on the grass. People don't know how therapeutic
and say a
that
ritual.
can be. Yeah. People don't know how therapeutic that can be, and it's a shame as well. Once you try it, you're like, oh.
Walking on grass in bare feet.
When you're smoking
That's another
grass.
thing. That's a good tip for people. If you're stressed and that, just walk around your grass on the grass in bare feet. If you can find grass, obviously it's not as prominent as it used to be, and it needs to be natural grass and none of that like artificially grown stuff as well, mate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, some people they don't mind a bit of astroturf, mate. You know what I mean? I put some astroturf on the balcony so kids will be good. You know what I mean? Yo, you ain't got to water that shit. You ain't got to mow it or nothing. What would you look like though, mowing the grass on the balcony? Oh, mate, you all right there? You all right, Sheila? Shout out to the neighbours, boy.
With
Just
one of those
making
sit-down
bare
mowers.
Sit down mower up and down your fucking balcony.
You were doing Austin Powers just back and forth. Just got to get the corners. I'm trying to get the corners. How'd you get the corners in one of these? Ain't happening, bro. Yo,
Get a bigger balcony, mate.
So Mice investigates. If you could go back in time to warn your 10-year-old self about the future, what would that warning be? And shout out to people that answered on this. Roscoe P. Coltrane, he said, avoid toxic people and hard drugs. Stay in school and keep working on art. As art, I was always praised for my drawings and was quite creative. I wish I stuck at it, as I'm no longer able to do it very well. Know your real friends. I know snakes allowed probably, what's that? Fails under toxic people, so I'll stop. Yeah, that was a stream of thought right there. But yeah, he went in, avoid toxic people for real. How do you know they're toxic though? That's the thing.
And how can you avoid it? Yeah, exactly. And most toxic people, you won't know they're toxic until you've already done a deal with them. And then you're like, now they've twisted. Now they've changed. Now the deal's done.
Yeah,
you know
that's
I mean?
when you find out that people are toxic. You know what I mean? You got that, what do they call them?
Energy vampires.
Yeah, energy vampires. That's it. People where it's just like, yo, why do I feel like shit all of a sudden? And you're rambling
it's crazy.
on. Yeah.
But you know, some energy just doesn't work. Some energy just doesn't work. You know, and you don't have to like everybody. You don't all have to get on. But it doesn't mean to say they have to be nasty to you or vice versa. Do you know what I mean? It's just cool. You don't get on with me, fine. Have a nice day. Enjoy life. It's like, I'm loving your microphone, Dan.
What with the pink mic with the orange foam top? Yeah,
brilliant.
Yeah, that's
best one, man.
It's like you're at a festival, bro. That's why you're taking it
some
back
sort
now.
of more like a parade than a festival.
Dad, South drop, man. Shout to Upfront, shout to Split Profits crew. Upfront said, I'd warned myself 10 years ago, very quickly, don't procrastinate.
Yeah, don't procrastinate. Yeah, that's really true, actually. Like, if you're going to do something, do it. And also, if you've got music sitting on your hard drive, get it off your hard drive and put it out. You know, get it out there.
Yes.
You know, unless you're a terrible rapper, then don't get it out there.
Right.
And just keep it for you and your friends. Do you know what I mean?
You're right, man. You're right. We're all guilty of that, man. Just like, there's just stuff where you're like, oh, I've got to finish that. Oh, yeah, I've got to finish that. Oh, I've got to finish that. Then you move on to the thing. 3 years later, you're like, oh, shit, I forgot I needed to finish that thing. You know what I mean?
You should do a We Decide section where people can send their demos into you, Mice. I mean, you listen through them and then your audience decide whether or not they should release a record or not.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Nice idea.
Yeah, you make, you know what I mean, friends and enemies off of the back of that. Definitely. There'll be a couple people who like, yeah, but yeah, I do like that idea though. That's if people were down for it, you know what I mean, they trust my judgment enough. Just trust.
You could be our very own Canadian dad. Do you know what I mean? Just like literally like go through it, like rinse everybody out or praise them, and then like happy days, man. You know?
Yeah, that's a good idea. You know?
Maybe start a label, so filter off some of them.
Oh no, we get Joey back for that. We'll get him back to run.
Get the tax man back. You know what I mean?
Something.
Jesus, boy.
Turbo Tubalicious, don't hang out with that Kevin guy.
Yeah, very funny. This mother lover, right? Yeah, you know.
Turbo, is that someone you?
Yeah, he's trying to be funny there. Thanks for that, mate. You know what I mean? Shout out to Blade. Blade said, avoid the person who smiled with you when they were gaining from your good energy, but showed their true colours when you stopped helping, because they proved themselves to be selfish and all about themselves, and showed they were all about me, me, me. Dun, 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 shots fired. Shots fired. I was trying to do. I don't know.
Who's he gunning at? Who's he gunning at?
I don't know, but why? You know what I mean? If man was to break it down, if I was to break it down using gematria, yeah, nah, joke. Nah, I don't know, like. Obviously, he's been through a lot, man. So for him to say that, I wouldn't know who exactly, because you know. Yeah, he
has been through a lot, man. There's a lot of. I think it's just being respectful, man. Like I don't know where we lost the fact that it's not cool. Like you need to be respectful. It's like it's a simple thing. It's almost like people now. It's not. It's the opposite now. Like it's more. You're weird if you don't abuse somebody or you don't go along with the they're shit. Yeah, they're proper shit. No, they're really shit. That whole negative energy vibe, but then just grows on mass and grows on mass and grows on mass. You know, it's. I guess as you get older as well, when we think about it, it's like back 20 years ago, we're all young. We're all on vibrant energy. Stuff that we'd really find funny then. We might hear now and go, actually, I don't think that's really funny. Or I wouldn't have written that now. You know, I just wouldn't write that lyric now. I just wouldn't say that.
I know what you mean. Yeah, you're right about that. And, you know, that even leads to, shout out to Bluefoot. He said he's been going to the woods for years and people always used to take the piss. And it's very true. Like back in the day, like Stro, you know what I mean? He'd be like, Rab, you should come camping. And I'd be like, I don't know if I can... You know what I mean? I'm in a block of flats, like on the 9th floor. Like, what do I know about camping out in there? You know what I mean? But as like you said, like an AstroTurf. I don't think I would camp on the balcony actually, because them fucking pigeons. When I think about them pigeons, man, Jesus. And anyway, yeah, don't let me get started, bruv. But yeah, Blue used to go, he used to do the camping thing. He's got all these tents, this, that, and the third, sleeping bags. I'm like, yeah, I don't know, brother. Now, I'd be like, yeah, camping, it's a good idea. You don't even realize it at the time, but I think it's when you get back, you feel like, oh, shit.
Miles, are you confessing to us that you've never stayed at any of the festivals you've played at?
No, I've camped now. That's what I'm saying. Now, Now, as you get older, you realize like, oh, this shit's actually Yeah, but festivals is a little bit different though. Like, let's be real, man. It's not the same thing as like going out in the woods, middle of nowhere type camping. Do you know what I mean? Not even like I've even gone that deep, but yeah, that's the type of shit.
Blue's
gets
on
up
about
to.
wild camping.
Yeah, well, wild
Yeah,
camping.
wild camping.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
When you
wild-
don't know what's going on. Ow, ow, ow. You don't know where that's coming from.
Grow a beard,
Yeah.
everything.
Start
you
looking
know.
at bugs like, wow, is that edible? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Smell
boiling
it.
Yeah.
river water. Just have a
Jeez.
cup of tea.
Yeah, he was one of the first people I knew that had like, he had some device that he's like, Stro, if I can get like mud water and then it turns into water that I can drink. I was like, bruv, you're talking shit, man.
Oh, they're pigeons.
Yo,
Oh, they're
like a
pigeons.
you
magic
could just
trick.
get mud, yeah, like just some kind of whatever water, scoop it up, and it filters it in some way where you can drink the rest of the shit. I was like, nah, I don't, but
See,
But now-
that's survival.
That's technology and nature working together right there.
Ooh, see it there. So it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be, some form of digital. When we think about technology, we're always thinking about, my computer, my phone, my laptop, my tablet, my watch, my fucking buds.
Yeah, it can just be
Yeah.
something as simple
Yeah.
as a water filter. Yeah.
I'm not going to cuss anyone who's got buds. by the
Mr.
way,
Green,
but,
I'd say to my 10-year-old self, don't bet on Arsenal to win the Champions League or England to win the World Cup. Yeah, I think that's...
you don't need to. That's the waste. You know what I mean? You should know that from back then. From
Do you know,
when
if I could
When
go
you're
and
10,
see
bro.
my 10-year-old self, I'd warn them to copyright the word Google. I think that's what I'd warn them to do.
That's a good one, man. It's a good one.
Copyright
Yeah,
the
yeah,
word
yeah, yeah.
Google.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I'd buy
man.
all the rights to Michael Jackson's music.
Yeah, well, you might get in trouble for that, boy.
Might get in trouble for that,
yeah,
mate.
Yeah. You
I
gotta be
liked what I
careful.
read the other day. I don't know how true it is, but I read somewhere that Eminem cussed him, which he did in one of the songs. So he went and bought his whole back catalogue. Like, went and bought all the masters to his music, so he gets paid every time that it gets played or something.
Who, Michael
And I was
Jackson?
just like, yeah, and I was just like, well, I don't know if that's real or not, but if he did do that, that's just jokes.
Wow.
That is big pimping, boy. Like, yo, I'm gonna buy it, so everything you do, I earn off of it now, bitch.
Exactly. Yeah, some craziness, man.
And
I
then
think,
look what happens.
Didn't 50 Cent do that with Ja Rule or something? I
I'm
might
not
have got that
sure.
wrong.
I'm not sure,
You know.
but if Michael Jackson did do that, because that was when you're talking about when he bought a whole bunch of Sony.
Mhm. Yeah, World
so
Cup,
rah, huh. Dun, Mice investigates. The investigation
And I wonder
continues.
who's got that account now. I wonder who's got all of that money now and sits on that now. That'd be interesting to find out.
I guess
wouldn't
it'd be his estate.
it? Yeah, man. It's all, what's they saying it in life? Follow the money trail. If you want to
Follow
know
the
what's
money.
going on anywhere, innit? It's follow the money
Bruv.
trail, man.
We've been following
Except-
the money, boy, and now we know where it's leading to, man. And you know what I mean? Dan said it a few weeks ago, and it seems like the only way is now we know it's like it's time to boycott. Like we can't give them any more power, no more of our energy. Boycott all of that shit, that system. That's got.
Well, I think you genuinely have to think, where are you buying from?
Mm.
What are you wearing?
Yeah.
Like, what do you support? Like, because those choices do make a massive, huge difference to what's going to happen, next and for the foreseeable future.
Mm.
But then the other thing I'd say though is, you get like a brand that comes up, which is all ethical and beautiful. And then eventually like Unilever or one of the, there's only 4 big companies, isn't there? But Unilever's one of them, will come in and then buy it. Or Coca-Cola will then come in and buy it. And you're just like, well, okay, so we've lost that brand now. So you try your best to support something, but eventually it gets swallowed up by the bigger brand anyway. So then what do you do? Like, then go and find the next smaller brand until it gets swallowed up? Or as a people, can we stop the big brands from buying everything up and bring in new rules that mean you can't do that anymore? I don't know, man, the way forward. But how do you stop the monopoly? That's the question.
Yeah, can you stop the monopoly?
Mm.
Innit?
Yeah,
Can
the
you
only way
stop
to
the
stop it is
monopoly?
to just set up another board next to the game, their game. No, I'm serious. You just set up another board next to their game and just start a new game.
Yeah.
That's it. You can let them carry on with their game. You just start your own new game next to it. It's pointless trying to change a whole system that's already. It's not going to change one bit because the system is set up for all of the things that it's doing. So if you like step in and say, "Can we just change this one bit?" The fact that you're asking them if you can change a bit of their system, it's obvious what the answer is going to be.
Yeah.
So you've really got to change. You've got to just build your own system. That's really all it is. Like as a parallel,
Way of life.
a parallel system. Alongside.
I think like things like the cryptocurrencies are kind of leveling the playing field slightly, because it means like, you know, even Joe Bloggs up the road has got the same opportunity as, you know, Elon Musk as an example, to get the same losses and the same gains. The only difference is like Joe Bloggs might only be putting 10 grand in, and Elon can go and put in like, you know, 10 million, but still the interest you're going to earn on it is the same interest. So if you're in on it and you feel like you can take the risk and you want to play that type of game, then I think it's kind of leveled the playing field for people that want to actually make some money fast. Equally, you can lose money on it as well, but if you play it right, I think it's a win-win situation for most people.
But you still got to cash out and cash back into their system. So it's, you know.
Yeah, completely.
That's the thing about that's the thing about that in a sense, is that you're still kind of working.
You're doing it to cash out at some point. Obviously, you want to try and use it to make money, or to to set yourself up. But at some point, you got to buy out again, and then that means you're back in the system.
You're back in the system.
Yeah, it's complicated.
Let's see it.
So, big old complicated thing. Really.
Mice's next investigates should be like, how do we change the system?
Mice investigates bringing a new system in.
I don't even want to read what people say for that shit, man.
Mice investigates moving to an island and setting everything up again from the beginning.
Like,
just like a computer game, naked, just
Mice
a stick.
investigates, how do we take down the cabal?
You can still buy little islands for about £250,000, can't you, off like the UK coast and stuff? So maybe that's what we should do. Let's do a crowdfunder.
Yeah, but them islands are kind of mad. They're like mad high, and it's just a little piece of land.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
How you fucking getting up there in the first place anyway?
True. Right,
like they're
But
showing
you can go
that
and
shit.
camp there. Go and camp there, and you'd love it.
Yeah. Well, you have to get there by helicopter, innit?
Yeah, I reckon so. Yeah, probably, man, probably. So either that, or they just shoot you off with one of those massive, huge, like, what are they called, man? They used to use them in the old days to knock down castle walls. I can't think what they're called now.
A trebuchet.
Is that what it's called? A trebuchet? Wow.
I think that's what you go.
Oh, we need hand claps.
I'm the pronunciation guy.
Trebuchet. That sounds like a great name for an album. Trebuchet, right? Or even a band.
Yeah.
Band, man. The Trebuchet band. This is where your listeners are going like, what are this lot talking about?
What the fuck happened? It's like some middle class podcast where they're just talking French.
I'm just going to go and get my Prosecco. Give me a second.
Quickly, I'm just going to tell the butler to go look after the Jaguars outside. Jaguars outside, yeah. Yo, so we'll carry on with some more answers. Shout to Strange Neighbour. Shout to the Revogue Records crew as well. They're killing it. Yeah. And RLD.
Revogue,
yeah. Shout to RLD crew. Them lot are killing it as well. And Strange Neighbour, he says, find what makes you happy and do it. Yeah. That's the one. That's the one. Find what makes you happy and do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alive _EU. Staying focused and not listening to the bullshit. See,
what if you like being a serial killer?
Yeah, you shouldn't focus on doing the things you love if that's what it is. Yeah.
Find what makes you happy.
Oh, these are all things you'd say to your 10-year-old self. Say to your 10-year-old self, don't start killing cats and small animals because it will lead nowhere. Yeah,
it will lead to bad things, man.
You want to turn off your...
What the fuck? Don't start killing cats. You're like, what's killing a cat? How do you kill a cat?
Oh, no. And then you started it, yeah.
Nah, yeah. Well, I get what he's
Yeah.
saying, though. I do get what he's saying, man.
Yeah.
And staying focused. Not listening to the bullshit, man. But how do you know? You just don't know it's bullshit until after the fact. And then you start learning what the bullshit is. You're like, oh, he's bullshitting as he's saying it. But until then, and that might take a good 30, 40, even the hundreds of bullshits until you realize what bullshit is. And you're like, oh, mama's bullshitting me. From the
What's
back.
the it's like it's been recognised where you
Bullshit
lie,
ratio.
but you don't recognise your lie, so you don't believe so you could pass a polygraph test because you actually believe what you're
Believe
saying,
you're
even though
saying,
what
yeah.
you're saying is a lie.
Yeah.
I can't think what it's called, but there's a word for
Narcissist?
it.
Just the bullshit.
There's another
Really
thing
good
for it, but
bullshit.
yeah, narcissism is definitely on that agenda. It'll come back to me at some point, but it's a bit like that. You know how that with Munchausen syndrome, you fall in love with your your oppressor. It's something along those lines, but you genuinely believe what you're saying is the truth. So if you put me on a polygraph, even though what I'm saying is a lie, I believe it's the truth. So I would pass the polygraph because it wouldn't register. So yeah, so some people who talk shit and are
Bullshit.
negative, it could be completely because they're wired differently, and it might not actually be that they're an arsehole, if that makes sense.
You know what? I have to agree. I think there is an element of that with some people because there's certain personalities that do have. It's like they can't help but have some form of lie within their sentences. You know, I've noticed that there's a few people I know where I'm like, right, it's like you've always got a I'll do this or yeah. It's like you're wired in a way where I guess you enjoy doing that. You know, so that might be a thing like what Strange Neighbor was saying.
And it depends what you're lying about. Like if I told people, like I don't know, my dad's like, what's his name, AJ the boxer. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just like people are gonna go, of course he's not. You're lying. Do you know what I mean? But like, yeah, it's an obvious lie. Do you know what I mean? So I guess it depends. If you're lying because you're making people laugh, then carry on lying. Do you know what I mean? As long as you're not harming anyone. It's when the lie becomes harmful. That's when it's dangerous, man.
Yeah, it's all right lying to yourself, but it's not all right lying to other people.
When it starts affecting
go,
other
yeah.
people.
It's all right telling
Lie to
yourself,
yourself,
you think
don't
you're
lie
great.
to others.
Yeah, just look in the mirror and lie.
Man, I'm
Just
still
get
going
it
to
all
sell
out.
10 million records.
Just while you're
Get
brushing
it
your
out
teeth,
in the
just
mirror.
lie.
That's it, yeah.
Even while you're brushing your teeth, just so you don't have to really hear that shit. Just in the mirror, I get it all out, bruv. All out. Have a good shower.
That's a good
Just
idea,
wash all
yeah.
the bullshit out.
Yeah.
Douche if you need to. If
Bring
you
it.
literally need
Bring
to get
it.
that bullshit
Yeah,
out.
that's it, yeah.
You know what I mean? Shout to Hydrofunk Records. They said, get the fuck out of society and get yourself land.
Yeah.
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 Thinking
Good
about
advice
that.
to a 10-year-old.
Thinking about that island now. 10-year-old. 10-year-old thinking
What,
about that
like
island.
Legoland or something? What sort of land?
Yeah. Yo.
Get yourself some really good Lego. No, earlier on I did say I would tell my 10-year-old self to not sell, and this is not because I'm a nerd or anything, I'm not, but not to sell all your Star Wars toys and buy He-Man. Don't cash out of Star Wars and cash into He-Man, because He-Man's not going to be as long lasting as Star Wars, and you'll
Bruv.
make money out of your Star Wars stuff. But He-Man, who cares about
Myman
He-Man?
sold the Star Wars shit for He-Man shit.
Can you believe that?
He's just taken me somewhere, man. I gave all my Star Wars stuff away.
Oh, I've
and
unzipped
now I'm
him.
just
You
like-
fucked up,
I've
man.
unzipped him. You gave all your Star Wars stuff away.
For He-Man shit.
I can't. Yeah, don't, man. You're just taking me somewhere. I can just see it all now. My little Luke Skywalker, my my just gave it to the kid next door.
Well, that's
And
very
now,
kind
like,
of you.
Yeah, man, you
Yeah,
passed it
yeah.
on. Hopefully they didn't just dash it away like,
Sold it.
It's old school, man.
Saved it.
Yeah,
sold-
of course, they
sold it.
definitely dashed it away, mate. Yeah, they probably sold it and made millions out of it. It's where I was going to make all my money. Do you know what I mean? But,
So you
Star
tell your
Wars
10-year-old
figures.
self pretty much the same thing I tell my 10-year-old self. Don't give away all the Star Wars toys.
yeah, don't give away all the Star Wars toys. Yeah, definitely. Do you know what I mean?
I think
And don't.
I'd probably tell my 10-year-old self, you know, it's okay to
I-
cream your elbows.
I know exactly what I
'Cause,
tell my 10-year-olds.
yeah,
Don't
when I
believe
was-
the history they teach
Yeah,
you
I
at
mean,
school.
yeah.
What cream are you using, mice?
I think back then I was on the it was either Astral, cocoa butter, or on the brass times it was Vaseline. You know what I mean? Vaseline was like, but it's just the elbows bit and my legs as well. I didn't know that. You know what I mean? Around them ages, I didn't know that I was supposed to cream my legs and all that. And so, you know, my nickname back then was Scream for Cream. Yeah.
Cream.
Yeah.
I love it, mice. This
Scream
is
for
brilliant,
Cream.
man.
So,
No, but the thing is, we don't, do we, guys, mate? Like, do you know what I mean? Now I'm not going to put
probably
cream on
so.
my legs. Why would I want to do that? Do you know what I mean? Let's leave them like they are. Do you know what I mean? I'm a man. And then you just think, nah, mate, like you need to sort your legs out. You can't be going out like that.
yeah, and shorts on as well. You got remember I got shorts on, so it's like it's just that's it. That's all you can see is just crackhead looking legs with the knees and and the elbows as well. Yeah, life was hard, man. Scream for Cream. What was your nickname? What nickname did you have when you was like? What's your embarrassing nickname?
What,
that
me
you had-
at school?
Yeah, when you was a kid. Yeah.
Oh, bruv, like, well, my name's Nathaniel, so like Nathaniel the Spaniel. Like, you know what kids are like, Nathaniel the Spaniel. And still to this day, I think to myself, guys, you were shit. You had no vocab at all, man. You had no wordplay. You have no wordplay whatsoever. If that's all you could come up with, do you know what I mean? Yeah, that was some funny shit, man. Yeah, that was it really. And then I grew up in Kent as well, so you could use the packy, like that was something that used to get thrown around quite a lot. Do you know what I mean?
Bloody hell.
You know, that was a lot, man. Growing up back then, that was pretty. Well, yeah, but you know what?
Yeah,
Like
you're
even now, like my 15-year-old nephew, the first time the N-word was dropped on him, he was 8 years old, and that was in a supermarket. That was in Sainsbury's, man. But this is the thing. Like when I look at it, like when I look at society, like we should have eradicated that by now. There's no place for any of the racism stuff. That should have way gone, man. We're so diverse as a society around the world, you know, as a community and as a species. Like you think that shit would have been completely dead by now.
Nah, but it's useful. It's useful, Naf. You got to remember, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is a tool that
weed them out.
Yeah, it can help you divide and conquer if you need it. You know what I mean? You just tell these lot said something about these lot, and then these lot will, you know what I mean? Yeah, man. That's the thing. It's like, you're right. It should have been, but wow, it hasn't been. And why the fuck hasn't it been? It's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Feed the world. How long ago was we screaming, feed the world? And they're still doing it after all these millions. Like, what? Come on. Something's going on. Something's going on, man.
Something's definitely going on, man. Well, it's like Yemen. No one wants to talk about it. It's like they're like Yemen. Like, yeah, that country that we're paying to be bombed at the moment. Does anyone want to stop their taxpayers' money being used to go and bomb it? I would like to. So how do you do that? Do you know what I mean? It's like
too busy
it's
trying to
crazy.
get petrol, bruv. We're out here too busy trying to get petrol, man. We can't be thinking. You want man to
We
talk
can't,
about
yeah.
Yemen?
Unless Yemen's willing to part with some of their petrol, most people don't want to talk about it.
That's how
if
it
someone
is,
said
man.
Yemen's going to give us their petrol, they'd be like, Yemen, oh God, I love Yemen
We
now.
just
Yeah,
sort out Yemen. Come this
Yeah.
much.
that's that's it. People are getting pushed more and more into just day-to-day living rather than long-term stuff. You know, rather than thinking about the history and the future. People are now stuck in this thing of like, right, what have I got to do today and tomorrow? It's becoming more and more like that. It's becoming more and more like it is in the third world where you're living day to day. And that's,
but because most people are now living month to month and week to week, and
that's what I'm saying.
Reality of it.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so it's become part of the process, but it shouldn't be this way. The wages should match what it is we're going out and purchasing, and it's not happening. And this is why it infuriates me, man, because most of the young people I work with are the ones that are in a desperate situation, or their families are in a desperate situation, and it's that whole classic thing of like, you know, I don't have a limitless, I don't have that much money that I can just keep going, yeah, we'll invest in that, we're investing that. But just as an example, for the last 6 years, I've been invested in a refugee program. I've been investing in 2 disability programs. One's in London, one's in Margate, the other one's the refugee projects in London as well. And all of these programs and projects are support continually every year. I go and find the money, and then we go in and we deliver whatever it is that the young people want.
Jeez.
But if we didn't do that, this is no joke, this is God's honest truth, man, on my heart, man. If we didn't go in and deliver on those programs, the programs would close, because it's not just about what we deliver. Us being there means that they can invite X amount of young people. And if we didn't have that staffing number, there would be no project for the young people, like zero. It wouldn't happen. It would be closed down. And that is the society that we're living in. Like, parents want help for their children. Parents want help for themselves. But we as a society are not allowing that help to be given to them. And that's what needs to change. And it's through policy that this is happening. And it's draconian policy, and policy that was fit. It wasn't even fit in the 60s, 70s and 80s, but it's a policy and policies that are still in place now in 2021. And, really and truly, we should all be out on the street marching about this stuff the same way we tried to march against the Iraq war happening. But I just believe everyone's worn out, and everyone's been worn down so much after the last 2 years that it's kind of the last final division between society, especially in the UK at the moment, is those who are vaccinated and those who are unvaccinated. And it's not going to change. It's the divisions they're going to try and keep wedging these divisions between us until something collapses, and then it has to be rebuilt again. And we really are, in my personal opinion, on the verge of that collapse before we rebuild, hopefully, a better society. But it could equally become a worse society, if that's possible, considering what we're going through and living through at the moment.
The ground needs, what do they call it? Toiling. The ground, we need to turn it over. Everything needs to be flipped. Do you know what I mean? Like, really, for things to be the way they're supposed to be, it's either like everything turns on its head, so it's, we get the realness, like this is really how we're supposed to live, or we just have a society outside of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think there's a bunch of people now all around the world, let alone, in the UK and whatnot, that are kind of prepared to do that, because you're really seeing what's going on and what it's doing, how it's affecting the children, which is like one of the reasons I wanted to get you on, is because obviously you've worked with children for a long time, and, what we're going through at the moment is like obviously unprecedented. It's something that we've never seen, and then all the build up to it's always been on the news just here and there. But then how do you see them dealing with what's going on at the moment, like the last sort of, year and a half, nearly 2 years of all this? Are children, are they dealing with it well? What kind of energy do you get from them?
I think some are dealing with it really well. I think others are literally on the verge of having some sort of breakdown. And it's tough to say that, but there's a lot of vacancy. So when I say that, I mean, like, you're talking to them, but in the eyes, there's nothing there. There's no like drive. There's no passion. There's no, we want to do this. And then the other side of it is, don't forget, like with, for instance, the refugee programs as such, you're trying to bring love and enjoyment and passion and energy to young people who potentially could just get moved away next week or within the next few weeks. Their lives are so uncertain. They don't know what support they're going to get and from what corner it's going to get from. So they're trying to support their families. Older brothers are trying to support their younger sisters. Younger sisters are trying to support their younger sisters, and so on and so forth. And that network is just trying to really, really come together to be supportive. But we're going to have a lot of mental health issues, not just from the students, but from the teachers as well, because everyone is really, really suffering burnout. But as I was saying earlier, Mike, like for you and I, we're adults, so we can sort of like navigate the terrain and work out the best way that we are going to get through it, however difficult it's going to be. Like how you said that, that was smooth. But for a 16-year-old or a 15-year-old or a 14-year-old, you've literally just gone and taken away their whole support network, which is their friends and everywhere and everything they do. And you've told them all to stay at home, and the only communication you're going to have with anybody is through this here. Which, again, technology can be the most beautiful and wonderful place. But when you're dealing with young people who already have young people issues, they need love and they need face-to-face attention. They need to be able to communicate with you. Like, you can't always tell through a Zoom call what's going on in that young person's life, but I guarantee that if you get them in front of you, you'll soon enough know the problems that they're facing and how you can best go around supporting them. I mean, I work with young people who are on the verge of being arrested for stealing food, and then you find out, well, why are they stealing food? Well, there's no food at home. So please, can we not arrest the kid over the food? Can you please leave it with me, and I will work out a strategy and a plan to try and find out why this kid's not being fed. This is in modern day Britain. This isn't an isolated incident. This is an incident that happens all the time. Just before the pandemic hit, one of my young people, young person, he's 12, was running from the youth club to his house, which was around the corner. In the air, he's holding 2 loaves of bread that we had got and collected from the co-op and then distributed to the kids. And he's dancing in front of the car to me, like with his 2 loaves of bread, just so happy that he's taking 2 loaves of bread home to his mum. That's modern day Britain,
man.
And it's like, and this is the stuff that I'm seeing on a regular basis. And I'm like, you know, it makes me laugh. Of course, I want to be at Glastonbury playing on stage with different organisations I work with, rapping in front of 10,000 people. But it doesn't satisfy me the same way that it does of supporting and nurturing a refugee programme or a disability project for 6 years straight, you know, and watching the 12-year-old become 18, the 16-year-old become 22, and so on and so forth, you know. So it's
tricky, man.
We're going to have problems, bruv.
Yeah,
what we need,
I feel it, man. I feel it. And exactly what you're saying about the blank stare, like I get that a lot, like talking to kids and you're just like, oh, man, you know, they don't even want to really go there anyway. And I don't blame them because it's just kind of unreal. You know, this is the stuff that you see in movies, but now it's like in your face 24/7 and everyone's talking about it or you're always reminded about it in some form of way. And it's just like, man, crazy. Shout out to Mr. Trick. Shout out to Mr. Trick. I'll see you tomorrow night for real, bruv. He says, Natty for PM. And
is that Mr. Trick?
Yeah.
Big up Mr. Trick, man.
I wouldn't mind
wicked,
that,
bro.
man. I'm telling you,
Nice,
the way
nice.
you're talking, bruv, like it feels like you could represent the people in the way that the people are supposed to be represented. But obviously, it's like getting into that field is a whole different. There's a whole different kettle of fish in it.
I've been asked a few times to do certain things like that, and the thing with it is, I just couldn't do it because it would prevent me from really saying the things I need to say sometimes. And trust me, like, you know, when I need to, I will walk into anybody's office and tell them straight about what I think is going wrong and what they need to do in order to prove it and to improve it. And nowadays, you know, I get asked by organisations to go and check what they're doing and is it like, does it fit with what they're trying to do? Because the trouble we've got now is everyone's too scared. Like they tiptoe around one another like a dance. Like, you know, like you were saying about the peacock thing earlier, like, you know, they're all sort of dancing to one another and positioning and posturing. But this isn't getting action. This isn't getting things sorted. What we need to do is like, right, this project over here needs £8,000. With £8,000, they can do this for the year. Okay, wicked. I'm going to go and find the £8,000. Fuck all the other people that say they're going to give us grants and then they don't give us anything. I'm going to make it happen. Then you go out, you find the money, you make it happen, you go back, you deliver the project. What happens next year? Who knows? But you continue and you move forward with it. But yeah, you know, anyone can do this. The more people out there setting up small programs and small projects, this is how we build communities. But then after you've built the community, I mean, I work with so many different organizations, not just here, but around the world. Because I'm open. We are a community. Like my door is open. You want to come and work with me? Let's work together. Like there's never a like, oh no, I can't work with you because of this and because of that. There are certain safeguarding issues why there's certain people I can't work with. You know, so depending on what your criminal record might be, there may be certain projects that you can't come and join in on. But that doesn't mean to say you can't do others. Do you know what I'm saying? And we have many different people from backgrounds who've done things in the past that they feel bad about, and now they're rectifying that by coming in and talking to young people to make sure that those young people don't go down that same route. And that's really not just admirable, it's really engaging, and it's really what's the word I'm looking for?
Empowering.
It's empowering. It's empowering not just for the young people, but it's empowering for that person who might have done something in the past to be able to share how guilty they feel about it and how they want to make a difference for other people and for the future. And if we can all make small steps and small changes, like within our own circles, then everything will get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
You know, maybe your feed the world idea is not a bad one, and we should get like all of the labels together in the UK, and we should put on one massive, huge hip hop jam and do it for like some sort of cause that we all believe in, and then donate the money to that cause, or even like, you know, actually run the cause ourselves. You know, put on something for the young people and do something like that. Maybe
That's a
we'll have
good
to
idea,
tap Blade up and a few of the others and see like what can be done. John Z and all those guys, and see what we can do. You know?
That's a good idea, man. That's a good idea, bro, for real. Something, and you know, like you said, of the culture as well, like not just, you know, anything. It's just like, all right, this is where it's
hip
at.
hop
You know,
has changed the world, doesn't it, mate? I mean, hip hop's changed my life. It's changed your life. Yeah, and if it wasn't for hip hop, I wouldn't have done all the fundraising I've done and raised all the money for those other projects, because I would never have had the confidence to do it. So, you know, it's not just about the lyrics, the beats and the stage presence. It's about what your aptitude and your attitude to what you do afterwards and with it. That's what's going to make a difference to your life and those around you.
Yeah. Jeez, man. Natty dropping some gems. Shout out to Tom Arnott. He says, we live in a post-political world. They no longer have the answers. It's with the people like Natty and hundreds more like him up and down the country where the future and answers lie. Deep, deep respect. Yep. And yeah, more seconds that. I third that, because definitely it's refreshing to hear these sort of words. Do you know what I mean? And this sort of inspiration come from somebody, because it's, you know, there's so much going on that you kind of find it hard to find what you should focus on, you know?
Yeah.
What really matters. There's so many things, you know, that keep blurring your vision. So it's good to kind of get that grounded, like, notion from you, like in terms of, especially with the kids, man. Like, how do you communicate with them in these sort of times, especially? You know, it's a whole different ball game than it was before, because you can feel the tension as well. You can feel it kind of, man, and it's crazy. So it's really good to hear this stuff from you, bruv, man. I really appreciate it. I think
there's a lot of...
Go on.
I was going to say, there's a lot of good things coming up, man. There's we just finished a documentary about the history of Mexican beatbox. So it's a 30-minute documentary, and we've tracked back to some of the old beatboxers. So we've got this, and we've just done the art project I told you about. So that arts project, there's going to be a video for that. So once all of these things come to fruition, I'll make sure that I share them with you.
Yeah,
so then you can share them
man.
Through your channels as well.
Yeah, please.
And if anyone's watching this or listening that wants to get involved in any of the youth development stuff that we're doing, then please just reach out to me, because we're always looking for people to come and help and to support, especially if you're in London, because a lot of the projects are based in London. So yeah, man, like the more the merrier. You know, a lot of the work that we do is paid work, but obviously there's opportunities for volunteers, but then there's also opportunities for young people to come and get involved and to be able to, you know, support and follow their own dreams and that. And I think it's really important. So yeah, if anyone wants to get involved, then we're always open. The door's open. Come and have a conversation.
Yeah,
you know?
man, that sounds good, bruv, man. Yes.
You want to plug yourself, where people can find you, Natty?
Well, actually, the main place that you can find what we're doing at the moment is Music for Children, the number 4. So music, the number 4, children.org.
Okay.
And that's where you can go and find out about that. And then, obviously, anyone that knows me, lyricsorganics.com. So LYRIX, then ORGANIX.com. And they're the two main places where you'll find the work that we're up to, and then you can find out about our associated partners and other people that we work with and trying to deliver with. I mean, we haven't even spoke about Nepal, but we've got a children's home in Nepal where we've got 21 girls that we clothe, educate, feed, and support, which we built 7 years ago. So, you know, this is one of the other things that we've got. So our projects are mainly at the moment in Mexico, Nepal, and all across the United Kingdom.
Yeah. Jeez, man. What? Telling you, man, this guy's deep in the game, man. That is crazy, bruv. Mad respect
looking
for
forward
that, man.
to just coming to your house, Mice, and chatting to you, bruv.
Yeah, man. Jesus. We have a good old chinwag, man. Telling you. Nah, it's good to hear these things, Natty, man. And like what you obviously from the beginning, you know, starting off, and then now what you've become, you know, in terms of the business and that. It's amazing to see, bruv. Like you've really, it's inspiring. Do you know what I mean? Because
thanks, man. I appreciate that.
I know there are times when you're just like, oh man, what am I doing? You know what I mean? Like, should I really be doing this and that? But like how things change, especially when you stick to it and you got that positive energy that you've always had. Like for as long as I've known you, every time, like you're saying, when we see each other, it's always smiles, big hug. You know what I mean? So it's like, I know you're a good guy, man. There's never any bad energy emulating off of you. So, you know, that's a blessed thing, man.
It is a blessed thing, man. My energy's definitely got me through. I mean, the one thing I would probably close on, like to say, is at the start of the pandemic, I pretty much nearly lost everything again because everything closed down, including, you know, all the gigs, obviously, but all the workshops and everything as well. And then what I did is I replanned everything, and I took what we delivered in a physical space, I redeveloped it and took it online. So then I was able to basically reshape and the model of the business. And the only reason I'm saying this is because even in times of adversity, I thought about the DEFCON collapse and the times before when I've been in difficult, turbulent situations like the earthquake. And I was able to realign myself. And then basically I'm now ending the pandemic in a better position than when I actually even started it. So, you know, in 18 months, I've gone from literally losing everything again to now being in a position where I'm in a better position than before the pandemic happened. So, you know, you just have to believe in what you're doing, trust the process, and never give up. Just use your energy and just keep going and keep going and keep going. And the most important advice I can give anybody out there is don't listen to the haters. Listen to your heart. Yeah, you know what's best for you. Listen to your heart. Ignore the noise. It's white noise. It doesn't need to be heard. You know what I mean? Ignore it. Get rid of it. Channel what you believe here, and whatever you want will come. It might take a long time, but it will come eventually.
Ooh, that's Natty Speaks right there, boy. You know what I mean? Living up to the name. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up. Let's see some hand claps, some bombs, some fires, you know what I mean? Volcano emojis, splashes if some of the ladies, you know what I mean? Yo, shout to Barry Owen. He said, people who reach out and help underage privileged kids are blessed. And that's very true, man. Music.
Thank you, bro.
That's Music for Children, the number 4, musicforchildren.org. For all you mother lovers out there. Yo, it's been fun, man. Bruv, it's been a good chat, man. We definitely got to do it again as well. Once the project is up and running, let us know, you know what I mean? And we'll catch up with you again, man.
100%. I can't wait to see your smiley face in the field, my brother. Yes, and I can't wait to meet you, Dan, in person as well. Yeah. It's
you too, mate.
Pleasure.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, guys. Yeah.
Thanks really for coming on, man.
Thank you.
Bless up,
Big
brother.
love, man.
Yes, sir.
And thank you to everyone that tuned in and listened, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah, you got a lot of love in the chat room, bruv. There's a lot of love there, man. Definitely. That's Natty right
Big love,
there,
guys.
mother lovers.
Salute.
The original.
Peace.
Bless, man. Yo. Oh, that was wicked, man.
Yeah.
Shout to our brother Natty. Musicforchildren.org, mother lovers. You know what I mean? Check him out. Doing a lot, man. You know what I mean? It's inspiring to see as well. And it kind of helps, like I was saying, man. I felt like a lot of us elders might be struggling a bit to kind of talk to the young'uns, you know, through these times. I knew he'd be someone that, you know, could kind of help, just give you a better idea of how to approach it and all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I hope, like, you know, the people that I wanted to hear that stuff heard it. And I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff in there anyway that you lot enjoyed. Shout out to all the mother lovers in the building. Yamal, PLK, Uncle Barry O, Ken F, Reagantology, Nicole Kisser, Mr. Green. Yeah, you lot were going in on the chat room. Tom Arnott, big up, man. Yeah, man, he's an inspiring guy, man. And, you know...
Don't forget Twitch.
Of course, lot. Shout out to Blue Fliggy. over there on the Twitch. Yeah, Bruce Willis. Shout to Latrell. I hope I'm saying that right. Latrell. You know what I mean? Sometimes you might pronounce it nothing like they want it pronounced. Shout to Steve. He didn't like who was calling him Steph. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Trixie. What do you mean maybe, bruv? Come on, man. See you tomorrow, maybe. I'll see you there for sure, bruv. You're damn right. Yo, shout to all the people in the building. It might be that. Is it that time? Couple more investigates. Shout to Barry O. He hit us up. He said, follow your dreams and don't accept no for an answer. Don't accept no for an answer. Very true. Very, very true. Joe Snowd says, stock up on Fredo's, start a meme page and stop rapping about your dick so much. It's not as funny as you think it is. Yo, Theme, shout out to Theme. He says, leave now. That's what he would tell his 10-year-old self. Go back.
Right.
Rob
Presumably
Mush.
he's not on about a funny situation. I laughed at it, but it's probably not a funny situation. He's saying to
Yeah, I
leave
was
from-
thinking, I was like, oh, that could be quite deep, but
Yeah.
let's just move on from that. That joke. Yo, shout to Rob Mush 02. He says, definitely to just focus on myself. Given way too much time and effort to people who aren't bothered and stuff that ain't worth it. One love, mother lover. Oh, yeah, man. DJ Shorty, we were shouting him out. Big up to DJ Shorty. He works with a lot of youth as well. He said, he would tell himself, James Corden is going to be a thing no matter how many people think he is an absolute C word. And I had to ask, who is James Corden? Because, someone I might not never know nothing about. And when I found out, I was kind of glad I didn't, to be honest. But yeah, shout out to the rest of the crew that got involved as well. We're going to be doing some more investigations, do you know what I mean? So we'll keep you lot involved, bitches and bitchettes. You lot have a good night, man. Thanks for tuning in. We always appreciate the love. Please hit up the likes, subscribe, hit the bell as well. You got to hit the bell, apparently, and then you'll get the updates about us coming on live. Also, share, do you know what I mean? If you can, share these videos, man. People need to hear this shit.
Yeah.
Even if, people that might want to get in touch with the people that we talk to, share this shit, man. Get it out there. However you can. Let the people know, mother lovers. Thank you to each and every one. Shout out to Reagantology. I'll see you tomorrow, bruv. Shout out to all my Bristol crew. I'll see you tomorrow night at Lost Horizon. You know what I mean? We're going to have a bit of fun there. Might have some special guests turn up. You never know. You know what I mean? But it's going to be a lot of fun, man. I'm looking forward to it. One love. This is Mice Diggy, Dan DNA. Some shit you might not never know nothing about. We'll see you next week, because we're out.